I standing on my horse like the cold, intimidating lord I'm supposed to be, looking down at my people on a freezing autumn morning. Everyone's shivering, noses red like tomatoes. And what are they doing? Begging me to take more of their money. Please, Lord Roland, raise our taxes. Like what? In any normal kingdom, peasants would stab their lord with a pitchfork for even thinking about it. But my peasants? They're literally fighting each other to hand me their cash. And it gets worse. Some guy's offering me his 12-year-old daughter as a maid. Another dude's pushing his wife on me because she makes great bread. I'm standing there, face frozen, not from the cold but from pure confusion. And then my system pops up with a new tag, Thug Overlord. One sentence, and your people throw wives and money at you. Thanks. Very helpful. See, here's my problem. I got Isekai'd into this world, hit by the classic truck of destiny while saving someone. Very heroic, 5 stars. And I woke up as a noble lord with a starter tag that says, Villain. Me. The guy who built irrigation canals. Who pays his maids actual wages. Who basically invented a tiny socialist economy in a medieval backwater town. But do these people appreciate it normally? No. They went and told every traveling merchant that I'm basically the worst human being alive. They roleplay being oppressed so outsiders won't get jealous of how good they have it. I'm out here running a welfare state and my reputation is worse than a cartoon slave driver. So I tried giving them a speech. I'm a tyrant. Why don't you rebel? There's thousands of you and only 50 soldiers in my castle. My armored Viking bodyguards just scratched their ears awkwardly. The peasants blinked at me like I'd asked them to divide by 0. Rebel? Against the guy who makes sure nobody freezes to death in winter? Meanwhile, the next town over lost 100 people last cold season. But sure, I'm the villain. Then last night, everything went completely sideways. An OWL knocked on my window. A snow owl. At midnight. Delivered me a letter saying I've been accepted into some St. Halley's Academy for Lords. I've been a royal knight rank noble for years, and I've never heard of this place. Smelled super fishy. Next day, they showed up to pick me up. And by showed up, I mean a giant airship blocked out the sun over my entire town. Huge warbirds circling it with knights in full-plate armor riding on their backs. And then, oh, just casually, a dragon landed in my front yard. This thing was bigger than my castle. Its eyes looked like lava lamps the size of millstones, and it stared at my Viking guards like they were chicken nuggets. Sitting on top of the dragon's head was some middle-aged dude in a professor's robe, flipping through a student list. He looked at my name, raised an eyebrow, and went, "Oh nice, good batch of freshmen this year." I checked his tag. It said, Dragon Knight. I am so cooked. Okay, so remember that dragon that landed in my yard? Turns out my Viking bodyguards were not handling it well. They were standing there going, our throwing axes couldn't even scratch its scales, and it could eat all of us in one bite. Meanwhile, the dragon just glanced down at them and snorted hot sulfur breath like they were beneath its attention. Which, honestly, they were. Then Professor Beckley drops a bombshell on me. Apparently, I'm something called a warlord, not the warlord with a machete kind. More like a magical commander class. Like wizards shoot fireballs, warlords summon armies. And get this, for 15 years I've been living in this world thinking magic doesn't exist. No wizards, no goblins, no nothing. Just regular medieval peasant stuff. Then a dragon shows up in my front yard, and my whole worldview does a backflip. He handed me a student handbook, and suddenly everything started clicking. Warlords can recruit soldiers from across dimensions and parallel worlds. These soldiers range from Tier 1, basically cannon fodder, to Tier 9, probably gods or something terrifying. My Viking crew? Tier 1. Beckley's dragon? Tier 7. Cool. Totally not intimidating at all. So that's what happened last year. I randomly summoned 50 Viking warriors out of thin air and thought my system had just loaded some kind of mount and blade mod. Nope, it was my warlord recruitment power activating. Mystery solved, I guess. Then Beckley gave me this fancy school badge. White metal with a gold shield and crossed crimson swords. The moment I touched it, a stats panel popped up in front of my eyes. And not just any stats panel. It was the data screen from Mount and Blade 1. My brain literally formatted magical warlord powers into a video game UI I recognize. Beautiful. Let me read my stats real quick. Strength, 9. Agility, 7. Intelligence, 11. Charisma, 12. Charisma is my highest stat. Of course it is. I'm the guy whose peasants voluntarily raise their own taxes and throw their wives at me. Charisma 12 is honestly low for that level of cult leader energy. Next, Beckley handed me a card called a troop card, basically a pokeball for soldiers. I thought about it, and whoosh, all 50 Vikings turned into white light and got sucked into this little card. I nearly had a heart attack. But apparently inside the card there's like barracks with beds, a training ground, and a kitchen. My Vikings are literally chilling in a pocket dimension. According to Beckley, first years learn to make these cards themselves. Just casual interdimensional crafting class, no big deal. I spent half a day speed running a 3-year development plan for my town, because I'm that kind of responsible overlord, and then boarded the airship. Which, by the way, is Tier 8, higher than the Dragon. The student shuttle bus is more powerful than a Dragon. What kind of school, I asked this. Inside, the airship was way bigger than the outside. TARDIS energy. On the front deck, about a dozen kids my age were already waiting. Some of them stared at me. A few looked straight up shocked. I recognized 2 faces, plus one kid wearing a Kingdom Knight uniform. Turns out we had a princess, a duke's second son, and a knight among the freshmen. Royal High School drama incoming. I can already feel it. Beckley gathered us up and gave the welcome speech. You are the 1 in a billion talents of the entire air continent. Okay, cool, feeling pretty special, but don't celebrate yet. Ah, there it is. During the 1-month trip to the academy, we have to complete our first official recruitment. Fail, and you get sent home. Some kid raised his hand nervously. What happens if we fail? You lose your enrollment and go back home. The kid literally sighed with relief. Oh, just back to being a noble? That's fine. And a bunch of other freshmen relaxed too. Beckley looked at them with the deadest eyes I've ever seen on a man riding a dragon. He said nothing, but his face screamed, "You have no idea what you're about to lose, you idiots." Then he looked at me specifically and added, "Oh, and even if you pass recruitment, there's still an entrance exam at the academy. Try to be a top student." Why did he look at me when he said that? Cafeteria's on floor 2. Dorms on floor 3. Use your badge to unlock your room. Class starts tomorrow at 8. Dismissed. And just like that, I'm a freshman at Dragon Hogwarts for Warlords. My villain tag is probably glowing right now. So this airship they put us on, it's not a ship. It's a flying city. I'm walking to my dorm on the 3rd floor and passing a library, a coffee shop, an observation deck, and a bunch of mysterious empty buildings that probably teach you how to kill demons or something. Casual. I waved my school badge at the door like a hotel keycard, and it clicked open to reveal a small but cozy room. And sitting on the desk? Fresh flowers with a sparkly little card that said, "May you face the road ahead without fear." That's actually kind of sweet. I almost felt feelings for a second. Almost. Yesterday, I was planning spring potato harvests for my peasants. Today, I'm on a flying city heading to interdimensional warlord Hogwarts. Life comes at you fast. I cracked open the student handbook to do some reading, and wow. St. Halley's Academy is so old nobody even knows when it was founded. Some scholars say warlords from this school were fighting in the 9th Demonic War, and that was tens of thousands of years ago. The school's older than most civilizations. No big deal. And the job description for warlords? Oh, nothing major. Just protect all ordered planes of existence, explore unknown dimensional bubbles, and fight the demons of the 9 abyssal domains. Any plane the abyss demons visit gets turned into a death zone and then falls into infinite nothingness. Super chill career path. Very safe. Great benefits probably. No wonder Beckley gave those kids that dead-eyed stare when they said, "Oh well, I'll just go home and be a noble." Buddy, you're choosing 100 years of mediocrity over a path that makes gods bow their heads. But sure, go manage your daddy's estate. Anyway, I got hungry, so I went down to the 2nd floor to find the cafeteria. It's this wide, low wooden building, fancy but warm inside. Crystal chandeliers glowing soft orange like a fireplace. Very cozy. Then I noticed the ceiling was low because the staff were short. Like, really short. A halfling girl in a floral dress greeted me. "Welcome," and then she saw my face and just stopped. Froze. Eyes going wide. I just wanted to ask about the menu. I swear. "What are your specialties?" I said, in what I thought was a perfectly normal tone. She looked like she was about to cry. Like I'd just threatened to execute her whole family over undercooked soup. This is my life. My stupid villain lord. Tag has this permanent evil aura that twists everything I say into something terrifying. I could say, nice weather today, and people would hear, I will destroy the sun, but I've dealt with this before. I know the cheat code. I flicked a ruby off my fingertip and it landed right in her palm. Perfect shot. Turns out dragons aren't the only ones who can't resist shiny things. Works on girls too. Her tears dried up instantly. Her mental image of me upgraded from mean, difficult noble brat to mean, difficult, but rich noble brat. Progress. Then she ran to the kitchen and told the halfling chef, there's a super picky customer out there demanding our absolute best food. That is not what I said. I asked about the menu. The menu. But honestly, her exaggeration worked out great because the chef took it as a personal challenge and went absolutely nuclear. Golden crispy steak sizzling with oil, drizzled in green grape and cheese cream sauce. Some kind of mysterious mushroom and vegetable soup simmered to a creamy white. Smelled incredible. Roasted bone-in meat that you slice off and wrap in flatbread with veggie strips. Dish after dish kept coming. At some point I wanted to say, hey, this is too much food, but then I thought, nah, I just started eating. Villain lords don't complain about too much food. While I was demolishing my feast, the other freshmen trickled in for dinner. And already, they'd split into cliques. Nobles on one side, commoners on the other, then further subdivided by which kingdom they came from. It's been like 3 hours, and we already have high school politics. Funnily enough, the nobles were outnumbered. Makes sense. If you're picking warlords from an entire continent based on talent, commoners are going to dominate just by statistics. Noble blood means nothing here. And there's me, sitting alone. Not with the nobles, not with the commoners. Just a dude and his mountain of halfling cuisine, which apparently made me very interesting to gossip about. Over at the noble table, the duke's son, who I vaguely recognized from back home, started running his mouth. That's Roland Barr. You won't believe the things he's done. The knight from our kingdom tried to back him up, but only managed a lukewarm. Yeah, I heard he's somewhat wild. Bless that knight's heart. He at least remembered I outrank him. Then everyone turned to the third person from our kingdom, Princess Angelum, the king's third daughter. She's 13, and apparently the moment she escaped her royal etiquette tutors, she went feral. This girl was just shoveling cake into her face like it was her last meal on earth. The nobles asked her opinion about me, and she looked up with the most beautifully empty eyes I've ever seen on a human being. Long pause. Blink, blink. Do you guys want some too? She thought they were asking about her food. I think I love this kid. So I finished my halfling feast, stood up, pushed my chair back in like a civilized human being, and on my way out I glanced at the duke's son who'd been talking trash about me. I just looked at him. That's it. I wanted to see what this gossip boy looked like so I could remember his face later. You know, for reasons. The entire table went silent. His eyes are scarier than the worst criminal I've ever seen, someone whispered. The duke's son went pale. Did he hear us? Then some brave soul tried to rally the troops. So what? What's he gonna do on an airship? Everyone nodded frantically. Yeah. Someone patted the duke's son on the back. You're a duke's heir. Man up. But then the duke's kid, who was basically about to cry, dropped my origin story on them. When I first took over my territory at age 13, there were bandits nearby. I dealt with them. Normal lord stuff. But then, according to the legend, I supposedly impaled all the dead and surrendered bandits on wooden stakes and lined them up along the road as decoration. Everyone at the table collectively clenched. Stay away from Roland Barr. Forever, someone said, speaking for the whole group. Meanwhile, I'm walking back to my room and suddenly, ping, new tag acquired. The Impaler Prince description, wooden stakes. Impalement. Bottom to top. Excuse me? First of all, I only impaled the leader. One guy, and only because he tried to escape after I generously gave him a community service sentence instead of execution. You gotta make examples with hardened criminals. It worked, nobody ran after that. But does the legend care about context? No. Apparently, I'm Vlad Dracula now. Also, since when do tags pop up this easily? Back in my territory, I governed 1,000 people for 3 years and only got 2 tags. But one kid tells a spooky campfire story about me and boom, instant new tag from a dozen teenagers. My system must think future warlords carry more influence weight than regular peasants. Which, okay, fair, but it's still annoying because my tags are useless. Let me explain my garbage tier superpower. When enough people form a strong impression of me, I get a tag. Sounds cool, right? Wrong. These tags do basically nothing. Stingy, people think I'm cheap. War maniac, people think I fight good. Villain lord, people think I'm evil. Do any of these give me stat boosts? Superpowers? Anything. After years of testing, maybe? Kind of. It's like asking if horoscopes are real. The answer is, results inconclusive, please try again. And they expire after 1 year. Except, Villain Lord, which is permanent. My starter tag. Stuck to me like glue. I've tried getting positive tags to cancel it out. Impossible. Nobody believes the scary villain guy is actually nice. I once got diligent and precocious, but they're neutral tags and did absolutely nothing noticeable. My golden finger is basically a name tag printer that only makes mean labels. Whatever. Moving on. Next morning, I showed up to class half an hour early. Only Beckley was there. You're Roland Barr, right? Didn't expect anyone this early. Then the classroom door opened, and I had to look up. Way up, a massive, dark-skinned woman ducked through the doorframe. She was literally too tall for the door. She was carrying a lunchbox. A steaming, home-cooked lunchbox. And she walked straight to Beckley. Breakfast. All your favorite flavors. Her speech was a bit stiff, and she smelled faintly of sulfur. I checked her tag. Dragon Knight. Wait. Dragon Space Knight? Not Dragon Knight as one word. I slowly looked at Beckley. His tag. Dragon Knight. One word. No space. She's the dragon. In human form. Bringing her rider a homemade bento box. Oh. Beckley caught me connecting the dots, and his face turned red. This grown man who rides a Tier 7 abyssal fire dragon into battle got embarrassed because a student caught his dragon girlfriend bringing him breakfast. Ahem. He coughed loudly, desperate to change the subject. Roland, you've already completed your first recruitment, correct? Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. Not thinking about your domestic situation at all, sir. Then you don't need today's lesson. And you'll get a reward for being a good student. Turns out Beckley's hint yesterday about the entrance exam wasn't just casual advice. The exam at St. Halley's is a battle. Every freshman has to prove they understand war. Real war, fought only with their recruited soldiers. So having more soldiers before the exam means a huge advantage. The academy gives each professor 5 slots to award outstanding freshmen with free recruitment materials. And since I'm the only kid who already completed recruitment before even boarding the ship, I qualified automatically. Free bonus army pull. Don't mind if I do. According to the handbook, my Villain Lord tag might be glowing darker than ever, but at least I'm teacher's pet now. Take that, Duke's son. Time for my second recruitment, and Professor Beckley gave me the rundown on how this whole summoning system works. Short version, it's a gotcha game with no pity system. You need 3 things to recruit soldiers: payment, luck, and your own strength. Miss any one of those, and you get nothing. And even if you have all 3, what you actually pull is completely random. It's like every mobile game developer's dream. Pure gambling with 0 guarantees. Want a dragon? Sure, just throw in mountains of shiny precious metals. Or use same type summoning, which means you need a dragon that already likes you to basically call its friends over. The dragon equivalent of, hey guys, I found a sucker with deep pockets. Come get free food. That's literally how it works. Dragons are scammers. The Academy has thousands of years of warlords experimenting with different recruitment methods, so they've figured out some formulas. Beckley pulled out a red crystal coin, standard currency across the ordered planes of existence, and explained the throw money at it method. The rates? 87% chance of getting human soldiers. 11% chance of getting greedy goblins. The remaining 2% is not enough data to be statistically significant, but someone once supposedly pulled a dragon, so keep dreaming. This is literally a banner with terrible rates, and the Academy is telling freshmen to roll on it. Gotcha predators transcend dimensions. I had a question, though. What did we pay for our first recruitment? Beckley made a face like he'd been waiting for someone to ask. The cost was the excess high-purity magical energy that leaked out when you first awakened as a warlord. Pause. But free usually means low quality, so most warlords' first pull is garbage. Which is why Beckley was surprised when he saw my 50 Viking warriors. Apparently getting Tier 1 combat-ready soldiers from the freebie pull is like winning the lottery. I pulled gold on the free banner. Lucky me. I wanted to ask more questions, but Beckley checked the clock. They'll teach all this in first year. Right now, take a deep breath and pray your luck holds up. Then he turned to his dragon girlfriend. Sergenth, take this curious little genius to recruitment room 1, and make sure he reads the safety instructions. So her name is Sergenth. Good to know. She nodded, gave me a look that said, follow, and led me to the room with her usual economy of words. Recruitment room. Instructions and materials. She dropped a bag of red crystal coins on the table and pointed at the wall. Done. 10 words. Efficiency Queen. The wall was covered in safety warnings from some professor named Mordecai Anvilhammer. Newbie recruitment room. Designed for first years. Limits. Tier 1 to 3 soldiers only. Human and friendly races only. Then a personal note from the professor. Listen here, young war brats. Before this safety room existed, the death rate for young warlords during recruitment was 7.8%. The 7.8% was in giant bold font. Yeah, turns out when you open a connection to infinite dimensions and yell, come to me, sometimes what answers is something that wants to eat you. Baby warlords are basically advertising themselves as an all-you-can-eat buffet to interdimensional predators. That's why first and second years are banned from recruiting on their own. Upper years can do whatever they want because by then they've learned to protect themselves. Also, picking a fight with a warlord who already commands an army is just delivering yourself as lunch in reverse. Anyway, recruitment time. I put the crystal coins on the pedestal and got ready. I was actually a little excited. According to the instructions, I needed to activate the ritual with magic power and then shout an incantation. Now here's the funny part. The incantation doesn't actually do anything. It's pure superstition. But generations of warlords swear that people who chant get slightly better results than people who don't. So it became tradition. It's the summoning equivalent of blowing on your dice. When in Rome. Declaration, I announced with maximum drama. Warriors who answer the call of war, who seek iron, blood, and glory, respond to me. My consciousness got yanked up through infinite dimensions. I could see countless plane bubbles floating like stars. The crystal coins dissolved into light, and many of those bubbles started glowing softly. Some instinct told me I just had to reach toward any glowing one and whatever was inside would come. Problem, I had no idea what was in any of them. It's like a claw machine where you can't see the prizes. I stood there paralyzed by choice anxiety. But then, something wild happened. My 2 tags, Thug Overlord and the Impaler Prince, shattered into light particles and joined the recruitment. They fed themselves into the ritual as extra payment. The starfield exploded with brightness. All the dim little glows vanished, and only 2 options remained. And unlike before, I could actually see what was inside them. Option A, answering the call of Thug Overlord. Tier 2, Pinder Rogue Knights, 50 riders, human heavy cavalry. Low magic world physique. My jaw dropped. Pinder, as in Prophesy of Pinder, the Mount and Blade mod. These are the landless, disgraced noble knights who turned into roaming mercenary thugs. They got the rogue label because they're basically medieval hooligans in full-plate armor on warhorses. But their actual combat training is legit. Being rated Tier 2 in a multiverse ranking system proves that. Option B, answering the call of the Impaler Prince. Tier 4, Blood Dragon Knights, 30 riders, vampire heavy cavalry. High magic world physique. Legion effect. Crimson thirst when blood hungry. Tier 1. Lasts until all blood knights die or all enemies are dead. Warning. When Crimson thirst activates, nearby allied units experience confusion and morale drop. The blood knights don't care where the blood comes from. When I first saw Dragon Knights, I got excited. I thought they were from Pinder 2. The legendary Knights of the Dragon. The pride of the North. The famous 29 dragons that make every mount and blade player's knees weak. Then I read the fine print and nearly choked. These aren't those Dragon Knights. These are from Warhammer. Vampire Counts Faction. Blood Dragon Knights. Undead vampire cavalry that goes into a feeding frenzy so intense, they'll drain their own allies if there aren't enough enemies to munch on. Tier 4 base that jumps to Tier 5 when hungry. 30 immortal blood-sucking knights in full-plate armor who view every battlefield as an all-you-can-drink bar. My Impaler Prince, tag summon vampires. Because of course it did. I didn't even get to choose. The Blood Dragon Knights star winked out before I could reach for it. The newbie recruitment room has a hard cap at Tier 3, and those vampire cavalry boys were Tier 4. Banned. Slapped right onto the bench. The system basically went, nice try kid, come back when you're older. Silver lining though, my Impaler Prince tag didn't get consumed. It bounced back to me like a refunded purchase. Sorry, your order could not be processed. Tag returned to inventory. I'll take it. So that left option A, the Pinder Rogue Knights. Tier 2, 50 mounted knights in full plate armor. I mentally clicked, confirm purchase. If there was a narrator for this moment, they'd say something like, the infamous military noble Roland Barr has hired a company of rogue knights, who were delighted to serve under a lord whose terrible reputation preceded him. Yeah, they came pre-excited to work for me. My villain fame is apparently a recruitment bonus. The ritual drained me hard though. I felt like I'd pulled 2 consecutive all-nighters. The handbook says that's magical exhaustion. Basically my brain mana tank hit empty. No more recruiting today. But the results? Armored warhorses snorting nervously in this strange new room. Knights in full plate dismounting with metallic clinks. Their leader knelt, offered me his sword, and the whole unit followed, 50 knights on one knee. Classic feudal oath of loyalty. Very dramatic. Very cool. But something was weird. According to the handbook, freshly recruited soldiers usually start at normal morale. You know, that awkward, new job, don't know the boss yet, energy. But I checked these guys and their morale was at maximum. They were ready to charge into hell right now if I said the word. My consumed, thug overlord, tag had basically given them a preloaded fanboy buff. They showed up already worshipping me. Terrifying. I tapped the lead knight's shoulders with his own sword. The official, you work for me now, ceremony, and asked his name. He pulled off his bucket helmet to reveal the face of a 30-something man who looked less like a knight and more like a bandit who stole a knight's outfit. Rough. Cunning. The kind of face that says, I know 17 ways to cheat at cards. Call me Bullhowl, sir. His smile was pure suck-up energy with zero sincerity, but his eyes were genuinely eager. Then he immediately asked, Boss, we've heard all about your reputation. So what are we robbing first? My face twitched. These are the soldiers my thug overlord tag attracted. Of course their first question is about looting. And oh, I said firmly, not right now. Then I realized I had a logistics problem. I just summoned 50 knights with horses inside a room on a flying ship, and I had nowhere to put them. Brilliant planning, Roland. Really thought this through. Click. The door opened. Sergenth walked in to check that my recruitment went smoothly, professor's orders. She saw 50 human knights in full plate armor standing in formation, and her sulfur-yellow dragon eyes flickered with surprise. Another Tier 2 pull? For a freshman's second recruitment? That's genuinely rare. And that's when my rogue knights demonstrated exactly why they're called rogue knights. Hey, check out the babe. Wolf whistles. Catcalls. 50 unwashed medieval scoundrels who just arrived in a new dimension and immediately started hitting on the first woman they saw. I stood there with the expression of a man watching a car crash in slow motion. Guys, that's not a woman. I mean she is, technically, but she's also, Sergenth started transforming. Right there, in front of them. The tall dark-skinned lady began growing scales, and horns, and a tail, and wings, and more scales, and teeth. The Tier 7 Abyssal Fire Dragon casually strolled up to my 50 frozen in terror rogue knights, raised one building-sized claw, and slammed it into the ground. Knights went flying. Horses went flying. Dignity went flying. Everything went flying. I barely stayed on my feet because she specifically aimed around me. Professional courtesy, I suppose. She dropped a blank troop card in my hand. Here, and control your soldiers. Then she walked out. I looked at my pile of groaning, dented, traumatized rogue knights with the coldest expression I could manage. There will not be a next time. This isn't Pender. Are we clear? From the look on their faces, this lesson would last a lifetime. I sucked them all into the troop card. Problem solved. Deep breath. Despite the incident, the result was actually great. 2 units now, 50 Vikings and 50 armored cavalry. Not bad for a freshman. Later, I went back to class. Beckley was teaching the other freshmen how to do their first recruitment. Relax, clear your mind, listen to the call from across the plains. Basic meditation stuff. Nobody was getting it. Kids sitting there squeezing their eyes shut, trying to feel cosmic vibrations, and just getting headaches. Beckley wasn't worried. They had 29 days until we reached the academy, and historically 99% of candidates figure it out within 2 weeks. He didn't even ask about my recruitment results. Just nodded and said, "Find a seat." Then he clapped his hands and switched topics. "Recruitment practice is over for now. Time to learn how to control the magic power inside your bodies." Every single person in the room perked up like puppies hearing a treat bag. Magic. We all grew up on stories about wizards and spells, and now we're being told we have magic too? Don't think magic belongs only to those robe-wearing, spell-chanting wizards, Beckley said, looking slightly offended on behalf of warlords everywhere. Warlords use magic just as impressively. We just focus it differently. Translation: wizards throw fireballs, we throw armies. But the energy source is the same. My villain tag is glowing, my rogue knights are traumatized, and I'm about to learn magic. Day 2 of Warlord School is going great. Morning class was all about basic meditation, the beginner's guide to feeling your inner magic. Beckley warned us, magic class is a core subject at the academy. Don't be that student who only cares about recruiting cool soldiers and flunks everything else. A few kids who were clearly still daydreaming about summoning dragons snapped back to attention real fast. Time flies when you're learning to feel mystical energy flowing through your body. Before I knew it, Beckley called break and said he'd resume at 4 p.m. The classroom exploded with chatter. "I'm so hungry I could eat a whole cow. My brain is so full of knowledge right now. Did you take meditation notes? Please let me copy them. I missed some parts." Then, right as I was about to sprint to the cafeteria, "Oh, Roland Barr, come to my office." Every head in the room swiveled to watch me follow the professor out. I could practically hear the gossip engine revving up behind me. Why did the professor single him out? Maybe he was late this morning. First day and already in trouble. Classic Roland Barr. The Duke's son was thrilled. You know that kid in school who gets excited when the class troublemaker gets sent to the principal? That's him. That's his whole personality. Buddy, I wasn't late. I was getting a bonus army. But sure, enjoy your moment. In Beckley's office, he hit me with, "So Sergenth tells me you spent 100 red crystal coins and got 50 tier 2 knights." He had this weird little smile. Then, without me asking anything, he goes, "Not bad. But did you know that when your professor did his second recruitment, I used crystal coins and pulled a tier 3 baby abyssal fire dragon?" I stared at him. "Nobody asked you that, sir. You are literally flexing your old gotcha pulls on a student. This is a grown man who rides a dragon bragging to a teenager about his summoning luck." I kept my deadpan cat face on and said, "Professor, if you called me here just to tell me about your recruitment history, I think I'll be going." Ahem. Of course not. He led me through the airship to a building on the first floor. The sign read, "Combat Simulation Training Room." My gamer senses tingled hard. "Get used to this place," Beckley said cheerfully. "You'll be here every day for the next month." He had me scan my school badge and, magical light scanned my whole body. Identity registration complete. My badge projected my stats panel, and now it had a new line. Simulation combat score 0. Then I read the plaque on the wall. Combat Simulation Room, developed by Professor Mordecai Anvilhammer. Designed to rapidly familiarize new warlords with their abilities. It's a tutorial level. This whole thing is a video game tutorial, and I'm living in it. But wait, there's more. Contains 100 classic battles with increasing difficulty. Completing each battle earns corresponding rewards. 100 missions with scaling difficulty and loot drops? Say no more. Wanna try? Beckley gestured at a row of numbered doors. I badged into room 1 and stepped into darkness. Just faint crystals glowing in the ceiling corners. Then, the room expanded. Colors painted themselves across reality. I got a little dizzy, closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I was standing on a vast green plain. Text appeared like a mission briefing. During the 19th Demonic War, across countless ordered planes resisting the abyss, a skirmish erupted on the Chainorton Plains. It has lore? I muttered. Of course it does. Even the tutorial has cutscenes. Ahead of me, a medieval village. On fire. Smoke billowing everywhere. Very welcoming. Mission: find and escort 100 villagers to safety within 2 hourglasses, approximately 30 minutes. Didn't hesitate. Pulled out both troop cards. Let's go. My Vikings materialized looking ready for blood. My rogue knights appeared looking confused but game. Mount and blade muscle memory kicked in immediately. Bull Hal, take a squad and scout that village. Hal scratched his head. He had no idea what was happening or where we were, but he grabbed some knights and galloped off without question. Good soldier. Dumb but good. I sent the Vikings jogging forward in formation and spread the remaining cavalry on both flanks. Plains are perfect for cavalry, but also perfect for anyone chasing us. Double-edged sword. Hal's scouts came back fast, and they brought friends. Behind my retreating knights, twisted humanoid things. Bloated, mutated bodies oozing thick black liquid. Their limbs were wrong. Too many joints, too many fingers, bending the wrong way. Abyss, Tier 1, Abyssal Fallen, order beings corrupted by abyssal power. Will attack all living things without discrimination. Basically zombies. Dimensional demon zombies. Cool. Love that for me. My rogue knights were shooting arrows while retreating on horseback, and their aim was filthy, nailing targets at 70+ meters from a galloping horse. Feudal military training is no joke. Every arrow found its mark and pinned a fallen to the ground. For about 1 second. Then the thing stood back up with arrows sticking out of them and kept running. My soldiers got nervous. Both the Vikings and the knights started shifting uncomfortably. These guys aren't scared of fighting. They're scared of things that don't die when you kill them. But I've been watching carefully. Their weak point is the head. Hal's scouts peeled off the road to give my Vikings room. The Viking shield wall advanced. 40 steps. The front line could see the monster's cloudy, dead eyes now. Throw, a Viking bellowed. Throwing axes and javelins rained down like it was a clearance sale at the weapons store. These guys are professional throwers. Their whole combat doctrine is, empty your pockets of sharp objects before the swords come out, and their aim was beautiful. Skulls got separated from bodies left and right. And just like I said, headless fallen stayed down. The Vikings' morale shot through the roof. Their boss was right. Kill the brain, kill the zombie. I'm gonna use your skull as a soup bowl, one Viking screamed while charging. I didn't teach them that. They came like this. My army is made up of trash-talking Vikings and catcalling cavalry. I'm building the most morally questionable military force in the multiverse, and honestly, we're crushing this tutorial. My Vikings steamrolled those abyssal fallen like they were traffic cones. Turns out, once you get over the whole unkillable zombie thing, they're actually dumber than wild animals. At least a wolf uses strategy when hunting. These things just run at you screaming. Same tier as my Vikings on paper, but in practice, my boys didn't take a single casualty while wiping them all out. Not even a scratch. I kept my poker face on and marched everyone toward the burning village. Found the surviving villagers barricaded inside a church while fallen swarmed outside. My rogue knights went full bulldozer mode. Plate armor cavalry charging through thousands of zombie things like a hot knife through butter. They literally carved a road through the horde. It was beautiful. I was already mentally celebrating. Then the actual abyssal tide showed up. Not dozens. Not hundreds. A flood of them. Pouring over the horizon like someone kicked over an ant hill the size of a continent. Most one-sided defeat of my career. I stumbled out of Simulation Room 1 with a migraine and a frown. Beckley checked his watch. 10 minutes. Not bad. Not bad. The difficulty spike was insane. He just smiled that annoying wise teacher smile. First time, losing is normal. Hey, check out the airship's library. Might find something useful. Cryptic old man. But I filed that hint away. He also told me my schedule for the next 2 weeks. Attend morning meditation class, and the rest of the day is free. Which really meant, spend every waking hour grinding the simulation room. And honestly, I was planning to do that anyway. Because each of those 100 classic battles gives rewards. The village mission alone pays out 1,000 red crystal coins. That's enough for a 10 pull in the recruitment room. The math was simple. Beat tutorial missions, earn coins, summon more soldiers, beat harder missions, earn more coins. It's a gameplay loop. I'm living inside a progression system, and I couldn't be happier about it. I got to the cafeteria late. Everyone else had already eaten and left. The baby-faced halfling waitress still looked slightly terrified of me, but bravely scurried over to take my order. This time I ordered something light and told her not to bring too much. I don't like wasting food. The reason I specified this? Because last night I ate so much halfling cooking that I nearly exploded. That feast wasn't generosity. It was attempted murder by cuisine. After lunch, I followed Beckley's hint and found the library. I was looking for one thing. Anything about the 19th Demonic War, since that's the setting for my simulation battle. I found a book called Record of the 99th Demonic War, apparently the most recent one, which started 700 years ago and ended 200 years ago. 500 years of war. And that was just one of them. There have been 99 of these things. Eventually, I found what I needed on the very bottom shelf. Record of the 19th Demonic War. This thing was the size of 2 fists stacked together. An absolute brick of a book. I checked it out with my badge and hauled it up to the observation deck. This chill lounge area on top of the airship with tea, coffee-like drinks, and snacks. Found a nice window seat overlooking the misty sky outside. Poured myself some tea. Time to read the strategy guide. I expected the driest, most boring history textbook ever. Dates, death counts, who won, yawn. But no. This book was written like an epic novel. Each major event was told from the perspective of someone who was actually there. Legendary commanders, plane-saving heroes, warriors who personally killed abyssal bosses, adventurer squads that turned the tide. It read like fantasy fiction. It also had cultural details about different planes. How elves are stubborn and old-fashioned. How dwarf craftsmen keep grudge books, relatable. How some plane has food so good the author couldn't shut up about it. And then there was this note. Correction, succubi don't only live in the abyss. Some ordered planes have succubus communities too. They're on our side. Educational. I was nodding along, genuinely learning. Then the author added, succubi taste quite nice, SIR. This is an academic text. I did not sign up for this. Meanwhile, back in class, something wonderful happened that I only heard about later. Little Princess Angelum, the 13-year-old cake vacuum, completed her first recruitment. And what did she summon? Onions. 100 sentient onion soldiers. About 3 feet tall. Round. With little monocles and leather overalls. Some wearing tiny top hats. Their only weapon appeared to be a wrench. And when they materialized, they all started holding hands and dancing in a circle around Angelum, chanting, why, Tenoshi, why, Tenoshi, in squeaky voices. Then the other onions joined in. Why, Tenoshi, 100 dancing onions filling the entire classroom. Angelum stared at them with the expression of someone who ordered a steak and received a salad. I completed my first recruitment, which is great, but why onions? I would have accepted apple soldiers, bread soldiers, anything. I hate eating onions. But then she watched them dance their stupid little dance with their stupid little hats, and her 13-year-old heart melted instantly. Actually, they're kind of cute. Beckley stood at the front of the classroom, surrounded by a sea of dancing onions, hand on his forehead. Angelum, here's a troop card. Please put your soldiers away. We are still in class. Sorry, she sucked them all into the card, then giggled to herself for like 5 minutes straight. But here's the thing nobody noticed yet. I read her soldiers' stats later and nearly choked on my tea. Tier 1. Onion Legion Soldiers. 100 units. Species. Plant Life Artisans Legion Skill. Onion's Wild Imagination. The Onion Legion will use available materials to randomly construct a Tier 1 to 3 War Beast. The War Beast is controlled by the onions. If all onions die, the beast self-destructs. 100 tiny dancing onions that can build a giant mech out of whatever junk is lying around? That's not cute. That's terrifying. The princess accidentally summoned 100 tiny mad engineers who can assemble a kaiju on a lunch break. This school is wild. Angelum also got the genius reward, free second recruitment. She went off with Sergeant to the recruitment room while the rest of the freshmen were still struggling to feel their inner magic during class. My daily routine was beautiful. Sleep at 11, wake at 7. Eat a lovely halfling breakfast. Go to the observation deck with tea, cookies, and my giant war history book. Read all day. Repeat. Peaceful. Productive. Perfect. Angelum's routine was different. She's 13. What kind of self-control does a 13-year-old have? None. When she found out she only needed to attend 2 hours of meditation class per day, she went absolutely feral, sleeping until whenever she wanted. Then releasing her 100 onion soldiers and playing exploration games with them across the airship. She was literally crawling through storage rooms and air ducts with a tiny onion army, like some kind of princess-themed dungeon crawler. The simulation training room? Not interested. Beckley was watching all this from the shadows and slowly losing his mind. If he let this kid keep running wild, she was going to waste her entire potential. This girl recruited 100 mad genius onion engineers, and she's using them to explore closets. So on day 4, I'm sitting in my usual spot, sipping tea, reading about ancient demon wars, living my best life, and Beckley storms in with Angela in tow. The princess looked like she'd crawled through a haunted house. Her uniform was filthy, her golden hair had actual spider webs in it, and Beckley's face could curdle milk. Your job, he told me, is to supervise her. Keep her out of the storage rooms on the bottom deck. Translation: babysit the feral princess and make her do something productive. He dropped her off and left. Just walked away with the satisfied strut of a man who successfully made his problem someone else's problem. Thanks, Professor. Really appreciate it. Angelum stood there looking nervous. She'd heard all the scary Roland stories from the other nobles. To her, I was the big bad wolf from fairy tales. Scary, dangerous, eats children. But then, I could practically see the gears turning in her little head. She started imagining herself as Little Red Riding Hood having a thrilling chase scene with Big Bad Wolf Roland across the airship. Naturally, in her fantasy, justice prevails and she becomes the hero. She giggled out loud at her own imagination. Then she snapped back to reality. I hadn't moved, hadn't looked up from my book, hadn't acknowledged her existence even slightly. She sat down very carefully, watching me like I might bite. Her feet didn't reach the floor, so she just dangled them, swinging back and forth. Nothing to do. No onion army. No air ducts to explore. Just sitting. So she started studying my face. And apparently had a revelation. Neat black hair. Young features, but well-defined. Purple eyes focused on the page. Kind of. Glowing. Wait, he's actually pretty? This did not match her mental image. Fairy tale villains are supposed to be ugly and mean and eat kids. This one looks like a storybook prince who got cast as the wrong character. I looked up and caught her staring. She flinched like she'd been electrocuted. Sorry, honest kid. I'll give her that. Look, I did not want to babysit. Especially not a hyperactive gremlin princess. But Beckley gave me orders. So I told her, Angelum, I suggest you go back to your room and clean up first. She touched her hair, felt the spider webs, and, wah, she bolted toward the dorms like her skirt was on fire. I watched her go and checked her tag. Foodie princess. Yeah, that tracks. Half an hour later, she came back squeaky clean in a fresh school uniform. White wool shirt, brown jacket, plaid skirt, white socks, little leather shoes. She did a little spin in front of me like, look, I'm clean now. Praise me. I had to lean back because her still damp hair smelled like lavender and it made my nose itch. Personal space, princess. Personal space. Then, without asking, she started eating MY cookies. Just reached over and grabbed them. Crunch, crunch, crunch. 3 minutes ago she was scared of me, and now she's raiding my snack supply. Kids have zero consistency. Do you know why Beckley sent you here? I asked over the sound of aggressive chewing. Why? Pure innocent eyes. Not a single thought behind them. I smiled. Thud. I dropped a stack of books in front of her that was taller than half her head. Angelum's eyes filled with tears. She tried to run. I caught her by the collar and plopped her back in the chair. Now then, I said, shifting into teacher mode. You've tried the simulation room, right? She nodded while pouting so hard her lower lip could catch rain. According to her, she attempted the first map, the Chainorton Plains battle, and got wiped out by the Abyssal Fallen before she even reached the village. Total party kill. Instant game over. Her onion engineers probably didn't even get to build anything before becoming demon appetizers. The simulation says this battle is from the 19th Demonic War, I told her. Pause for effect. These are real historical battles. So if we find the historical records, we can read what the actual people who fought this battle did. How they won. What strategies they used. The light bulb went on. I could almost hear the click. Roland, you're so smart. Compliments are nice. From anyone else. Being called smart by a 13-year-old who just had spider webs in her hair somehow doesn't hit the same. But credit where it's due. Once she understood there was a solution to the problem, she attacked those books with genuine enthusiasm. She's not lazy. She's just a kid who gives up when things seem impossible. Show her the path, and she'll walk it. Running, actually, with onion soldiers cheering behind her. And thus began the strangest study partnership on the airship. The noble kids were not happy. Angela was their mascot, their adorable little princess, their group pet. And now the big bad villain Roland had stolen her. She was sitting with me every day, reading books, eating MY snacks, and occasionally asking me questions in a voice loud enough for the whole observation deck to hear. Some brave nobles tried to rescue her. They walked up to my table with heroic determination and couldn't hold eye contact with me for 3 seconds. My villain Lord Aura hit them like a brick wall. They retreated without saying a word. Every single time. Then I got a new tag. New tag. Evil dragon description. You stole everyone's princess. Come on. I'm babysitting her. Beckley told me to. But in everyone else's eyes, the scary villain lord kidnapped the cute princess and is keeping her in his tower. Classic fairy tale, except I'm the dragon and my tower is an observation deck with nice tea. But this confirms something important. I earn tags way faster from these warlord candidates than from normal people. 1,000 peasants in 3 years gave me 2 tags. A dozen teenagers in 4 days gave me 3. My golden finger is finally becoming useful, especially since tags can be spent as recruitment fuel. Maybe my trash tier superpower isn't so trash after all. When the 3rd and 4th freshmen completed their first recruitment and stopped showing up to recruitment class, everyone finally figured it out. It wasn't skipping, they just didn't need the class anymore. Then the gears started turning and people realized, wait, Roland Barr disappeared from recruitment class on day 1. He was ahead of all of us this entire time. This broke their brains. Villains aren't supposed to be good students. I'm supposed to be bullying classmates, acting arrogant, and ranking dead last. That's how it works in every story. The evil noble is dumb and mean and gets humiliated by the protagonist. Instead, I got a new tag. Bad, but not trash description. Your talent is as shocking as your evil. I'll take it. It's the most backhanded compliment I've ever received, but at least it's not entirely negative. Progress. Meanwhile, Angelim had been devouring those history books for days, and she was vibrating with excitement. I'm ready. Here's what we found. The Chainorton Plains battle wasn't just some random skirmish. It was the battle that decided the fate of an entire plane of existence. The Abyss launched a surprise attack. The warlord defending that plane got cocky and careless, and a massive demon tide crushed the Order forces. But then, in the village of Chainorton, a 15-year-old farm girl lost her family and friends to the demon wave, and the trauma awakened her warlord powers. Her first recruitment, her freebie pull, summoned angels. Actual angels from behind the veil of light. Beings so powerful and mysterious that almost no warlord in history has ever recruited one. This random village girl with 0 training held back the entire abyssal tide for 3 days with nothing but angel power and sheer willpower. Those 3 days gave the Shattered Order army time to regroup and counterattack. Historians agree. Without her, that plane falls to the abyss. Period. She didn't survive. Burned herself out completely on the Chainorton Plains. Didn't even leave behind her name. But everyone agreed. If she had lived, she would have been legendary. So that's the puzzle. The simulation map doesn't just want you to save villagers from the church. You have to find the farm girl before the demons kill her. If she dies before awakening, nobody stops the demon tide in the final wave, and it's game over. That's why I got crushed the first time. I didn't know about her. So, understood, I looked at Angelim. She patted her flat little chest with maximum confidence. Go in, follow Roland's orders, don't wander off, don't mess around. Good girl. Let's do this. The simulation room supports up to 4 warlords cooperating on the same map, though the difficulty scales up to match. When we arrived, 2 other freshmen who'd completed their recruitment were already there, 1 noble, 1 commoner, debating whether to team up for the Chainorton map. They saw us walk in. Their eyes lit up. For people would mean better odds. The commoner kid opened his mouth to suggest joining forces, and then felt my villain Lord Aura. His mouth closed. His enthusiasm died. He turned away and pretended we didn't exist. Angelim watched this happen with genuine confusion. Why does everyone think you're a bad person? She'd conveniently forgotten that 3 days ago, she thought I was a child-eating wolf. Memory of a goldfish, this one. But now apparently I'm a good person, because I remind her to chew slowly when she steals my cookies. The bar is underground, and she still had to dig for it. We entered the simulation together, and my troops deployed on the road outside the village. Vikings in formation. Rogue knights on the flanks. Then Angelim's army materialized on the left side, and, what the hell are those? Onions, my Vikings yelled. Every single one of my soldiers stared at the round little onion people with expressions of pure bewilderment. I told them these were friendlies. They did not look convinced. Then I saw Angelim's second recruitment result, and honestly, I nearly lost it. Standing in neat rows, wearing fancy green armor, carrying shields, tall, thin, humanoid soldiers. Very professional looking, very official. Under the armor? Carrots. Tier 1, Carrot Royal Guards, 100 units, species, plant life soldiers. Everything I summon is food I hate. Angelim stomped her foot. I wanted bread soldiers. Apple soldiers. Why is it always vegetables? I was doing math in my head. If we go on long campaigns with Angelim's army, do we ever run out of food? Can we eat the casualties? Is that a war crime if they're vegetables? These are important strategic questions that nobody at this academy is asking. Why? Tenoshi. The onion engineers were already moving, their little wrenches spinning, their monocles gleaming. They grabbed wood, rocks, dirt, whatever was lying around, and started building. This was their Legion skill in action, Onion's wild imagination. And let me tell you, I'd only ever seen Legion skills on the Tier 4 Blood Dragon Knights before. The fact that these goofy little Tier 1 onion balls have won is actually insane. Within minutes, they'd assembled a war beast. A Tier 2 siege shield cart, 5 meters tall, looked janky and homemade, like something built on a reality TV show with a 2-hour deadline. But it worked. The onions climbed inside, grabbed the controls, and drove it forward. The Abyssal Fallen outside the village spotted living things and charged. There were twice as many as when I tried this solo. The difficulty had scaled for 2 warlords. Hundreds of twisted zombie monsters sprinting at us. The onion-piloted siege cart drove straight through them. Just flattened them, like speed bumps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. An army of dimensional demons reduced to road paced by a vehicle built from sticks and dirt and driven by sentient onions wearing top hats. My revised battle plan. Rogue Knights skipped the church rescue entirely. Their job is to search the village for the farm girl, our key to surviving the final boss wave. I had been worried that just my Vikings plus Angelim's vegetable army wouldn't be enough to break through to the church. I was so wrong. The onion siege cart was plowing through demons like a snowplow through powder. The carrot guards formed a shield wall around the flanks. My Vikings charged in behind the cart screaming about skull bowls. The onion engineers are the real deal. Their siege cart is very Tenoshi. We went in with a plan, and honestly, the onion siege cart carried hard. From above, the village was a typical medieval plains settlement. The church in the center had a stone wall about 2 people tall. That's the only reason the surviving villagers and their handful of militia hadn't been overrun by thousands of Abyssal Fallen yet. But they were hanging by a thread. Then our rescue convoy rolled up. The onion-built siege cart rumbled toward the church like a medieval tank. Angelim's carrot guards marched in tight formation on both sides, covering the cart's weak spots. My Vikings threw axes and javelins from behind the shield wall, picking off anything that slipped through. A well-oiled vegetable Viking war machine. Die, stupid monsters, die. Angelim was punching the air and screaming battle cries. This girl holds grudges. Last time she tried this map, she got wiped before reaching the village. Now she was getting her revenge through the medium of root vegetables and onion engineering. I had to admit, these onion soldiers are kind of broken. Their siege cart was doing the work of an entire cavalry charge. Without it, pushing 300 Tier 1 soldiers through 1,000 demons would have been a nightmare. With it, we were cruising. Once the church rescue was rolling smoothly, I shifted focus to the real objective. I'd scattered my 50 rogue knights across the village to find the farm girl. Armored warhorses thundered down cobblestone streets. Any fallen that came to investigate got their skulls caved in by mace-wielding knights without even slowing down. Bullhal proved he actually has a brain. He skipped the flimsy, thatched huts. If you're hiding from zombies, a straw house is a death trap, and headed straight for the stone mill, the second sturdiest building in the village. Smart man. And he was right. Signs of fighting outside the mill. Dead fallen on the ground. Before he could even knock, the door flew open. Out walked a red-haired farm girl carrying a pitchfork, followed by a few men and a cluster of elderly and children. She'd been defending them with a pitchfork against demons. This 15-year-old was solo clearing zombies with farming equipment. Found her. I got the notification instantly and ordered all remaining rogue knights to converge on the mill. But I had a bad feeling. There's going to be a boss fight, isn't there? Enemy contact. A rogue knight screamed the warning. Bullha got his shield up just in time. Bang! Something hit it with the force of a siege crossbow. He said it reminded him of that time he tried to rob a merchant caravan and got turned into a pincushion by their guards. Good times, good memories. Two knights weren't so lucky. They caught headshots and fell off their horses, dead. Their helmets didn't save them. New enemy type. Abyssal withered shooters. Tier 1 creatures that rip off their own mutated extra limbs and throw them like javelins. I looked at the dried-up arms sticking out of my dead knight's face. Lovely. And behind the shooters? Two massive shapes. Tier 3. Abyssal corpse mountain giants. Literally giants made from hundreds of fallen piled on top of each other. Extremely high physical defense. The description said they're a nightmare for lower-tier soldiers. Two of them. Wonderful. I immediately told Hal to grab the farm girl and run. No. She raised her pitchfork and stared past Hal, directly at me. Or rather, at the warlord giving orders. I have to protect everyone. Behind her were the elderly and the weak. And honestly, given that she'd been solo killing Fallen with a farm tool, she could have escaped easily on her own. She was choosing to stay. I rubbed my forehead. Noble. Heroic. Extremely inconvenient. Hal, I said in my gentlest voice. The knight immediately got nervous. Oh no, have you ever risked your life for someone? Did you ever believe in chivalry? Hal's tough guy face crumbled into pure suffering. Sir, please just tell me what you want directly. You're scaring me when you talk like this. What is the third virtue of knighthood? Sacrifice. Good. Go. 3 rogue knights, Hal included, went quiet for a moment. Then they pulled their reins, turned their horses around, faced the giants, raised their shields, and leveled their lances. Hal looked at the farm girl with the most serious expression his bandit face had ever produced. Leave. Now. The knights are charging. Then the 3 of them burst into laughter. Even they couldn't believe those words came out of their mouths. Rogue knights, thieves, bandits, disgraced nobles, making a heroic last stand. The universe has a sense of humor. What are these 3 getting all dramatic about? I muttered. It's a simulation. They don't actually die. But apparently when you're a knight, once the heroic energy hits a certain threshold, you'll charge a windmill if someone points at it. Rogue knights are still knights, I guess. Their sacrifice bought precious seconds. The remaining knights arrived as reinforcements, and in a fighting retreat that cost me almost my entire cavalry force, we got the farm girl and her people to the village entrance where the church survivors were already gathered. Safe. Not even close. The horizon turned black. The abyssal tide rose from the edge of the world like a tsunami made of nightmares. Thousands. Millions? I couldn't count. This was the scripted final wave, the one that crushed me the first time. But this time I was calm. WAH. Angelum jumped at the sight. Then, the red-haired farm girl began to glow. Brilliant, blinding light erupted from her body. During the 19th Demonic War, a hero whose name was never recorded held the Chainorton Plains for 3 days. The cutscene played out exactly as the history book described. She burned like a star. The demons crashed against her light like waves against a cliff. 3 days compressed into seconds of pure cinematic glory. She gave everything. And when the light faded, she was gone. Mission complete. Chainorton Plains skirmish. Please collect your rewards. She was so cool. Angelum sniffled, eyes red and teary, still emotionally wrecked by the farm girl's sacrifice. Me? My eyes went straight to my badge. 1,000 red crystal coins. 1,000 coins. 110 pull. Time to hit the gacha. Don't judge me. The farm girl would have wanted me to use her legacy for optimal resource management. We walked out of the simulation room like champions. In the public lounge, the other 2 warlords, the noble kid and the carpenter boy, were having a post-defeat therapy session. How are we supposed to stop that final demon tide? It's impossible with our strength. The noble was literally head-butting the table. The carpenter was muttering to himself, trying to figure out what they missed. Then they saw us, and I could read their thoughts perfectly. Oh good, they probably failed too. Misery loves company. Then they looked at the scoreboard. Chaynorton Plains skirmish, completions. 2. That number had been 0 when they left. The noble gasped like he'd been stabbed. The carpenter went through 5 stages of grief in 2 seconds. But to his credit, the carpenter kid did something the noble couldn't. He swallowed his pride and actually talked to me. Roland, can you tell me how to beat it? He was bracing for mockery, expecting me to laugh in his face. The villain thing, you know. Go to the library. You'll find what you need there. I didn't even turn around. Very cool of me. Very mysterious. They stood there blinking until the light bulb went on. Oh, that's why Roland and the princess have been reading books on the observation deck all week. Thank you, Roland. They scrambled off to the library like their pants were on fire. Beckley found me afterward, looking pleased with himself. His Angelum experiment had worked perfectly. He'd dumped a feral princess on me, and I'd turned her into a functioning student who cleared the first mission. He was basically glowing with self-satisfaction. You earned 1,000 red crystal coins, right? I nodded. Then he handed me something precious, a worn little notebook. His personal class notes from when he was a first-year student, plus 10 blank troop cards for me and Angelum. It's all stuff you'll learn in first year anyway. Think of it as early study material. I was genuinely touched. This was like getting the answer key before the exam. After he left, I grabbed Angelum by the collar before she could escape. The little princess put on her most innocent face. I finished the mission. Can I sleep in and stop coming to the reading sessions? No. Why? I held up Beckley's notebook with maximum dramatic energy. Do you know what this is? She squinted at it for way too long. A book that's falling apart. I bonked her on the head with it. Gently. Mostly gently. It's a secret guide from a senior graduate. You dummy. That got her attention. Her eyes went wide. Then suspicious. But the professor gave it to you. He won't mind sharing. Roland, you're such a good person. She tried to pat my shoulder. Couldn't reach. Patted my stomach instead. What she didn't see was my mouth curling into a scheming smile. Yes. Keep calling me a good person. I need those positive tags and kids are easy to farm them from. My master plan is working perfectly. So, tomorrow morning at 8, same spot. Her smile evaporated. Roland, I take it back. You're a bad person. Are you kidding me? I literally just shared a priceless study guide with you. After intense negotiations, I moved the time to 9 a.m., and she gave me back my good person card. Parenting is exhausting. Back in my room, I opened Beckley's notebook with the reverence of a scholar handling ancient scripture. Day 1. Today is my first day at St. Halley's Academy. This is a new beginning. I will work hard to become an outstanding warlord. Beautiful. Inspiring. This is the man who became a dragon knight. Day 2. Played with dragon. Day 3. Played with dragon. Huh? I flipped back to make sure I didn't miss pages. Nope. Beckley, oh Beckley, how can you spend all your free time playing with the dragon? He was scolding himself in his own diary. Day 5. What is strategy chess? Looks fun. Day 6. Played chess. With dragon. Everything circles back to the dragon with this man. No wonder he became a dragon knight. He speedran the relationship questline from day 1. His entire academic career was apparently hang out with dragon, occasionally attend class. Luckily, there was useful content mixed in between the dragon dates. Today in war class, the professor explained how to build a proper army. My takeaway: don't just collect bodies. Focus on quality and function. Now we're talking. First years can rarely recruit Tier 4 units as a core, so building your army around a system makes you much stronger than just piling up random troops. An army system. Like how Angelum could center everything around her onion engineers and their war beasts. Give them materials, let them build giant machines, and structure the rest of the army to protect and support that process. That's a system. For normal warlords, the notebook suggested picking one philosophy. Go full turtle, maximum defense, or full bull, maximum aggression. With limited first-year resources, trying to do everything means doing nothing well. And Beckley's first-year army philosophy: I have a dragon. That's not a strategy. That's just having a dragon. I closed the notebook and thought about my own army composition. I had 50 Viking infantry and 50 Rogue Knights cavalry. What direction should I take? I'll decide after tomorrow's 10 pull. Fair. No point planning around units I don't have yet. Speaking of recruitment, I checked my usable tags. Bad but not trash, the Impaler Prince, and Evil Dragon. Only 2 would activate during recruitment since Villain Lord, had never done anything despite being my oldest and most powerful tag. It just sits there, glowing darker every day, being completely useless. I glared at it. Villain Lord, do something. Earn your keep. And you know what? When a man gets angry enough, desperate enough, frustrated enough at his own useless golden finger, apparently you can force-activate a tag through sheer willpower and spite. My garbage tier superpower just got an upgrade. Powered by rage. Mornin', Angelum shuffled and looking like a zombie who'd lost a fight with her pillow. This kid is in that magical age where she's sleepy in spring, tired in summer, exhausted in autumn, and comatose in winter. Basically allergic to being awake. Want some? I pointed at the breakfast I'd grabbed from the halfling restaurant. Soft bread slathered in golden honey, bacon and eggs, and a hot drink made from milk and fruit bits. The transformation was instant. 1 second, half-dead sleepwalker. Next second, fully operational eating machine. Her, Foodie Princess, tag is the most accurate label my system has ever produced. Full, she rubbed her slightly round belly and melted into her chair with the blissful expression of someone who has achieved enlightenment through carbohydrates. If she could take a nap right now, she'd die happy. Too bad. Angelum, time for class. Her face twisted in agony. She squeezed her eyes shut, desperately hoping this was a nightmare. So I pinched her cheeks, stretched them out, squished them together, pulled them long, rolled them round. I'm not gonna lie, the texture was incredible, like premium mochi. 10/10 squish factor. After I was done bullying a child's face, we got down to business. I pulled out Beckley's notebook. What's strategy chess? Angelum asked, eyes sparkling with curiosity. Strategy chess is not important, I said firmly. We are not going down the Beckley path. That man lost his entire first year to chess and dragon playdates. We have standards. So for first-year warlords, the most important thing is finding your army-building direction, right? Angelum said. Hey, she's actually smart when she tries. I confirmed she was correct. Then how should I build my army? She looked at me with those big dependent eyes. I've created a monster. She now has a Pavlovian response where any problem automatically triggers. Ask Roland. Your onion engineers should be your core. Their war beast construction ability is genuinely overpowered. I wasn't being nice. I was being honest. I'm jealous of those little onion mechanics. The only problem is the randomness. Good luck, and they build a tier 3 attack beast that wins the fight before it starts. Bad luck, and my first time in the simulation, Angelum admitted sheepishly. They built a tier 1 supply wagon. A supply wagon. In a combat mission. Her genius engineer onions looked at a demon invasion and said, you know what this battlefield needs? Logistics. Maybe when your onions rank up, the randomness gets better, I suggested. Rank up? Did you not read? She started guiltily playing with her fingers. Of course she didn't. Soldier ranking is one of a warlord's core powers. Every living being has a natural ceiling based on their species and talent. A regular human soldier from a non-magical world could train their whole life and max out at tier 1. But a warlord can break that ceiling. Push soldiers past their natural limits. That's how Beckley's baby dragon went from tier 3 to tier 7. And it's still not at its max. So what about your army plan? Angelum asked. I shook my head. No idea yet. Let's see what the 10 pull gives me first. Oh right. I have 1,000 coins too. Let's go together. So we headed for the recruitment room. Along the way, Angelum was walking with her hands pressed together like she was praying, chanting, no celery, no green peppers, no cabbage, no celery, no green peppers. Her recruitment trauma is entirely food-based. She's not praying for powerful warriors. She's praying for Inuan vegetables. This girl's summoning circle is just a grocery list of things she refuses to eat. I was still laughing when she walked straight into someone coming out of the recruitment room door. Angelum wasn't looking, too busy begging the universe for non-plant soldiers. Now, important context. Angelum is short but built like a little tank. Compact. Dense. Every time I pick her up, I wonder if she's going to eventually eat herself into spherical shape. So when she collided with the girl coming through the door, physics was not on the other girl's side. Angelum grabbed her nose, teary-eyed. The other girl, a skinny, fragile thing only half a head taller than the princess, went flying backwards. I caught her wrist before she hit the floor. Thin, skin and bones. This girl weighed approximately nothing. I am sorry, she stammered, terrified. It was my fault. I wasn't watching, Angelim said through her hands, sounding nasally. The skinny girl relaxed a tiny bit. Then she remembered that someone had caught her. Oh, she should say thank you. She looked up at her savior's face. She made eye contact with me. My villain Lord Fear aura activated at point-blank range. She failed her mental saving throw. Her eyes rolled back, and she fainted on the spot. Just dropped. Lights out. Good night. See you tomorrow. Angelim's eyes went huge. Roland, you killed her. I flicked Angelim's forehead. She's not dead. She fainted. I carried the unconscious girl to the airship's medical bay, where the doctor turned out to be a thumb-sized flower fairy wielding a magic wand no bigger than a toothpick. She waved it around, releasing fragrant healing magic that wrapped around the pale girl. Then the fairy turned to me and started yelling. Tiny squeaky fairy rage. Barely audible, but absolutely furious. The doctor says you scared her patient. Angelim translated helpfully. I didn't need a translation. The fairy was the size of my thumb, and she was pointing at me with a wand the size of a splinter while screaming what were clearly fairy swear words. The message was pretty clear. It was an accident. I made sure to explain this very carefully because I absolutely did not want tomorrow's gossip to be Roland Barr uses female classmates as punching bags, a new chapter in his Legend of Evil. Thankfully, the girl woke up. I'm sorry. Roland actually saved me from falling. I should be thanking him. Thank you. Witness testimony. Case dismissed. Angelim apologized for the collision. The girl introduced herself quietly. Ayla. Ayla. I took a closer look at her while they chatted. Dry, yellowish hair. Pale, bloodless face. Classic signs of long-term malnutrition. She flinched away from my contact with Angelim. Not from fear, but from the habit of someone who'd learned to make herself invisible. This girl's childhood had not been kind. But what really caught my attention was floating above her head. Tag. Ashwar Marshall. Every other freshman I'd seen had basic tags. Normal stuff. This girl, the one so fragile she fainted from my contact, was carrying a tag that sounded like it belonged to a final boss. Ashwar Marshall. What exactly are you, skinny girl? So the girl I scared unconscious? Turns out she has a whole tragic backstory. Ayla sinned. Fallen noble family. Parents died. Relatives stole everything and treated her like a servant, barely fed her scraps of bread. She only got a chance at life when Beckley picked her up for the academy. Her one wish? Just not to be bullied anymore. She'd been spending the whole trip trying to be invisible, like a baby lamb hiding in a wolf pack. And then she saw me, the guy everyone is terrified of. The guy who sits alone not because he's excluded, but because he's radiating, approach and die. Energy so hard that everyone excludes themselves. In her eyes, I wasn't being isolated. I was single-handedly cold-shouldering the entire freshman class. Apparently, this is her dream self. She whispered to herself on the hospital bed. I want to be like Roland. Girl, you fainted from looking at me. We have some work to do. She started practicing my looking at bugs expression. The flower fairy doctor watched Ayla's face cycle between trying to look cold and then giggling to herself, and got so concerned she added brain medicine to Ayla's prescription. The fairy thinks she's mentally ill. She's not. She's just fangirling. But I didn't know any of this at the time. Anyway, recruitment time. I walked into the solo recruitment room, slapped down 100 red crystal coins, and fired up the ritual. Stars lit up across infinite dimensions. My two tags, Bad But Not Trash, and The Impaler Prince, flew into the constellation and instantly cleared out all the dim options, leaving just two bright orbs. Impaler Prince brought back its usual obsession, the Blood Dragon Knights from Warhammer. Again. Tier 4. Again. Blocked by the Tier 3 cap. Again. This tag has a one-track mind. It's like a cat bringing you the same dead bird every morning. You want vampires? Here's vampires. No. How about vampires? Still no? Vampires. The other option was new though. Tier 3. Trifarian Rune Crossbowman, 70 soldiers. Human Legion Crossbowman. Rune Craftsmanship. Trifarian? Didn't ring a bell at first. Then I saw their banner. For letters, Noxus. As in League of Legends Noxus? The Strength Above All. Military Empire from Runeterra? Yep. My Bad But Not Trash tag reached across dimensions and grabbed soldiers from the faction that literally embodies evil but competent. On brand. Painfully on brand. These guys looked mean. Half-body forged steel armor, armored gauntlets. No helmets because Noxians apparently think head protection is for cowards. And their crossbows? Oversized metal monsters with glowing blue runes carved into the surface. Those runes supercharge every bolt with devastating power. Tier 3 ranged unit? Yes, please. Their captain stepped forward. Sir, we seek purpose and self-worth through war. Don't worry, I said flatly. There's plenty of war where we're going. They bowed. Card. Done. Beautiful. Now for the remaining pulls without tags. Just raw crystal coin luck. Let's see what the universe gives me. Tier 1, City Thugs, 1,000 people. Description, human. That's it. That's the whole description. Not even a full sentence. The system couldn't be bothered to write more than one word about these losers. But wait, a message appeared. Roland's name has spread among the Pinder Rogue Knights. If you decline the City Thugs, 50 Pinder Rogue Knights will come to serve you instead. There's a pity system? My tags created a safety net. If I pull garbage, my previously recruited units can vouch for me and send reinforcements instead. The Noxians hadn't built enough trust yet, but my Rogue Knights were already spreading the gospel of Roland across Pinder. Swap. Rogue Knights 50. Next pull. Tier 1. Gang Enforcers, 500. Human. Swap. Rogue Knights 50. Next. Tier 1. Wilderness Bandits, 500. Human. Swap. Rogue Knights 50. 3 consecutive pulls of criminals. I am apparently cosmically bonded to the outlaw demographic. Every dimension I reach into, the first thing that answers is whatever lowlife is closest to the summoning circle. I looked up at my permanent tag, Villain Lord. Of course, my starter tag is acting as a magnet for every thug, bandit, and delinquent across the multiverse. My gacha is rigged. The banner is called Roland's Criminal Record, and it has a 100% off banner rate for scumbags. At least the pity system converted them all to Rogue Knights. Silver linings. I had 600 coins left. The handbook says when recruitment goes badly, throw in more payment. So I did what any rational person would do. All in. 600 coins. Everything. And that's when something insane happened. My Villain Lord tag, the one that has done absolutely nothing useful for my entire life, suddenly ripped itself free and launched into the dimensional void. Black light exploded everywhere. Did it just work? Did my garbage starter tag finally pull something? When Villain Lord flew back to me, it looked lighter, like someone had put it through a wash cycle. The tag that had been getting darker and more ominous every day had actually faded slightly, and in my hands materialized. Tier 3, sealed, dark scripture description, magic book. Sealed. I stared at the pitch-black tome sitting in my palm. A book. My Villain Lord tag spent 600 coins and recruited a book. Not soldiers. Not warriors. A book. Before I could even process this, the dark scripture flipped itself open to page 1. Forbidden knowledge slammed into my brain like a truck. Blasphemous symbols. Cursed diagrams. Dark rituals. The font was probably written in someone's blood. As the chosen of the dark scripture, you may now learn the following spells. Hypnosis. Biological charm magic. Demon insect secret curse. Drain. Spread fear to unlock the next chapter. I looked at the book. The book looked at me. We had a moment. My Villain Lord tag recruited me a grimoire of forbidden evil magic that literally requires me to terrorize people to level up. The unlock condition isn't study hard or practice daily. It's make people afraid of you. I've been doing that by accident my entire life. I scared a girl unconscious today. This book was made for me. Is this a good thing? This feels like a villain origin story. This feels exactly like a villain origin story. If the regular Bible has even a tiny bit of be a good person energy, then this dark scripture is a full training manual for becoming a demon king of the 7 deadly sins. Are these hypnosis and charm spells even legal? I asked the book. The book did not answer because it had already turned into a small inverted cross tattoo on my left hand. Very subtle, very not suspicious at all. Nothing screams, normal student, like an upside-down cross branded on your skin. Beyond the morally questionable spells, there were 2 others worth noting. Demon insect secret curse, for breeding corrupted familiars. And drain, which lets me suck life force from living things to power myself up. So my villain lord tag spent 600 coins and bought me a book that teaches mind control, seduction magic, bug necromancy, and soul vampirism. And the only way to unlock more chapters is to spread fear. I scare people by breathing. This book chose the right owner. Honestly though, this was a huge win. The Dark Scripture's value is incalculable. It's a scaling weapon that grows with me. I just wish it didn't make me feel like I'm one step away from a dramatic villain monologue on a cliff during a thunderstorm. I walked out of the recruitment room and immediately heard Angelim's laughter, loud, clear, and slightly unhinged with joy. Her recruitment went great apparently. "Roland," she waved me over. Then she noticed my face was weird. "Is there something on my face?" "Yeah, about that." The Dark Scripture had helpfully popped up a notification. High-value target detected. Angelim. Available corruption paths. Gluttony. Lust. The book wants me to corrupt the 13-year-old princess into either a glutton demon or a no. Absolutely not. I am not reading the second option. I rubbed my face and said, "Nothing. The Dark Scripture is a registered deviant, and I'm going to pretend that notification doesn't exist." Angelim was too excited to notice my brief existential crisis. She spread out all 12 of her troop cards like a kid showing off a Pokemon collection. Her old units: 1 card of Onion Engineers, 5 cards of Carrot Royal Guards. Then the new pulls: Tier 2, Green Apple Knights, 50 units. Plant Armored Cavalry that smells like fresh apples. The troop card literally has a cartoon apple wearing knight armor on it. Adorable in Tier 2. Tier 1, Pea Shooters, 100 units. Plant Archers with spout-shaped mouths. Bonus damage against undead. I recognized them immediately. Those are Plants vs. Zombies Pea Shooters. In a warlord army, Angelim accidentally recruited PvZ units, and they came with anti-undead specialization because of course they did. Their entire franchise is about fighting zombies. And the last card had a picture of a giant cabbage on it. Tier 2, Biting Kale, 5 units. Magical plants that bite things while rolling. 5 giant attack cabbages that somersault at enemies and chew on them. Not cabbage. I hate cabbage, Angelim had screamed earlier. But she was laughing now because getting Tier 2 units from a 10 pull is genuinely great luck. The universe has decided that Angelim's army will consist entirely of food she refuses to eat. This is cosmic-level trolling, and I respect it. What about you? She looked at my cards with sparkly eyes. I laid out 6 cards. For Pinder Rogue Knights, 1 Viking, 1 Trifarian Rune Crossbowman. So high quality, she gasped. Fair point. I only had 1 Tier 1 unit. Everything else was Tier 2 or 3. My army was small but elite. Hers was large but salad. I chose not to mention the Dark Scripture. Some things a 13-year-old doesn't need to know about. Days passed. My routine was zen-like. Morning tea and books on the observation deck. Teach Angela meditation tips when she got stuck. Afternoons in the simulation room attacking the second map. Map 2 was a massive difficulty jump. Map 1 teaches you offense and defense. Map 2 says, "Great, now fight a Sekiro boss." It's a siege defense mission. Hold a key section of a fortress city called the Iron Wall. I had friendly troops, city defense weapons, the whole package. Sounds manageable? The attackers were all Tier 2 minimum. The demon trash mobs were Tier 2. The cannon fodder was Tier 2. When I saw that first wave coming, I just laughed. The peaceful kind of laugh. The "I'm going to die repeatedly" laugh. Meanwhile, Ayla, the girl I'd knocked unconscious with my face, had quietly become part of our group. After that day, she somehow became friends with Angelim. And Angelim, with the flawless logic of a child, decided that if SHE had to suffer through Roland's book torture sessions, Ayla should suffer too. Misery loves company. Plot twist. Ayla liked reading. She devoured those books faster than Angelim ate cookies. When I quizzed them, Ayla could actually answer, stammering, blushing, but correct. She was genuinely smart when she wasn't fainting from social anxiety. For me, this just meant double the positive tag farming efficiency. 2 girls thinking I'm a good teacher, twice the chances for nice labels. The Dark Scripture, however, kept being creepy. High-value target detected. Send Ayla. Available corruption paths. Envy, wrath, lust. I swear this book just scans every person near me and immediately calculates how to turn them evil. It's like an evil career counselor. Have you considered a future in wrath? Your trauma profile is perfect for it. Shut up, Book. Ayla completed the first map and nervously asked if she could join our team for map 2. Angelum said yes before I could even open my mouth. I agreed too. More soldiers, better odds. I later found out Ayla was the 5th person to clear map 1 and earn the genius reward. That quiet little mouse was keeping pace with me. Then Beckley called an all-hands meeting. Standing at the front, he was actually smiling. You are the best batch of freshmen I've ever taught. Every single person had completed their first recruitment in under 10 days. 100% pass rate. We were all officially qualified for St. Halley's Academy. But his smile vanished. Don't celebrate. Getting in is just step 1. He confirmed what we'd figured out. Simulation missions give rewards. Rewards by recruitment pulls. More soldiers mean better exam scores. 5 of us had cleared map 1 already. The noble and the carpenter, the 2 I'd told to go to the library, couldn't help grinning. They also glanced at me with gratitude. They knew who'd given them the hint. But then someone did the math. Out of 5 people who cleared map 1, 3 were me, Angelum, and Ayla. 2 girls who spend every day sitting with Roland. Common factor? Girls. New tag, Playboy R. You. Kidding. Me. I'm tutoring them. In history. With books. We sit in a public observation lounge drinking tea. There is nothing romantic about yelling at a 13-year-old to stop eating my cookies. But sure, the first guy to study with girls must be a playboy. These warlord candidates have the emotional maturity of middle schoolers. Which, to be fair, most of them literally are. Beckley wasn't done with his announcement. The day before we arrive at the academy, I'm holding a combat tournament. The room buzzed. First place gets a little personal gift from yours truly. Every freshman sat up straighter. A gift from a Dragon Knight professor? That could be anything. A rare troop card. A recruitment material. Dragon-related resources. I need that prize. The Playboy villain lord with the evil Bible needs that prize. Starting today, the simulation room will host Lord Duels, Beckley announced. Lord Duels. You fight another warlord's army. Loser goes home crying. Apparently, this is like a casual sport at St. Halley's. Got beef with someone? Settle it with armies. Who needs words when you have cavalry? First place in the tournament gets a mystery prize from Beckley personally. He wouldn't say what it was, but a gift from a Dragon Knight professor is guaranteed to be valuable. Every freshman's eyes lit up like slot machines. Rules. Random bracket, 1v1, winner advances. Simple. Violent. Perfect. After Beckley left, the classroom erupted. Want a duel? Dude, I only have my first recruitment troops. Let me clear the first map and get coins first. Valid point. Most freshmen were still running around with one squad of whatever random thing they'd summoned. Not exactly tournament ready. The noble and carpenter kids, my 2 library disciples, became instant celebrities. Everyone swarmed them for tips. Please, how did you clear map 1? They exchanged a look. You should ask Roland. Dead silence. We only cleared it because Roland told us what to do, the carpenter said plainly. What did he charge you? Someone whispered. They shrugged. Nothing. He literally just said go to the library. Honestly, I think he's not actually a bad guy. Just intense. Whether anyone believed them, who knows? Those 2 headed off to attempt map 2 while the rest debated whether approaching me was worth the risk of cardiac arrest. Meanwhile, on the observation deck, Roland. Let's duel. Angelum slammed her little fists on the table. If I win, I get to sleep 1 extra hour every morning. I glanced at her over my book. And if you lose? No afternoon tea. No midnight snacks. And you go on a diet. The color drained from her face like I'd just pronounced a death sentence. Which, for a foodie princess, I essentially had. I had my reasons beyond cruelty, though. Her face was getting rounder by the day. And also, Angelum. Available corruption paths. Gluttony. Lust. The gluttony arrow was going up. I'm not even doing anything, and my dark scripture is tracking her sin levels like a fitness app from hell. If I don't intervene, this kid is going to eat her way into a demonic transformation. She rubbed her squishy cheeks, steeled herself, and declared, Fine. I accept. Then, after a pause, this diet food. Do I eat it before meals, or after? That's not how diets work, Angelum. Lord Duel. Initiated. Map. Small. Simple terrain win condition. Destroy all enemy soldiers, or the enemy's Lord Castle. I looked down at the battlefield from Godview. A 10 by 10 kilometer map, split by a river. Forests, hills, flatland. Fog of war covering everything. I was on the right side. Place your lord castle on the right side of the map. I picked a flat area. Boom! A crude wooden castle erupted from the ground. The fog cleared in a 1-kilometer radius around it. Now here's where it got interesting. This wasn't just a throw your armies at each other game. It was a full-on real-time strategy system. Tier 1 castle, action points. 1. Deployable troop tier. Tier 1, 1 action point. I could either deploy my Viking troop card, Tier 1, or spend it upgrading my castle to Tier 2. Action points refill every 10 minutes. This was literally StarCraft. Do I rush with early units or tech up? No hesitation. Upgrade castle. The wooden fort transformed into a stone fortress. Fog cleared to a 2-kilometer radius. Now I had a Tier 2 castle that could deploy Tier 2 troops with 2 action points. The gamble was that Angelim would rush me while I was defenseless. And she did. Before my action points recharged, Onion engineers appeared in my vision pushing a giant ballista, escorted by carrot guards. Clever girl. Her onions had built a Tier 2 siege crossbow this time. Actually useful for offense, and she was charging straight at me. Fast aggression. But I'd been ready for exactly this. I pulled out a Rogue Knight troop card and deployed it using my own magic power instead of action points. There's a second deployment method. Burn your personal mana to place troops directly, bypassing the action point timer. It drained half my magic reserves, but 50 armored cavalry materialized in front of my castle. I could read Angelim's strategy perfectly. She'd used her action point on onions, then burned mana for the carrot escort. Smart for a 13-year-old, but predictable. The ballista was powerful, but slow to move, slow to reload. All I needed was fast cavalry to flank around and eat her onion engineers alive. She had 2 options: find a hilltop, dig in with the ballista, and try to outscale me late game, or go all in with more Tier 1 deployments and pray. Before she could decide, I deployed a second squad of Rogue Knights. Using mana again. This was before the action point timer had even refreshed. Angelim saw 200 armored horsemen forming up outside my stone castle, and her face fell. She'd brought a ballista to a cavalry fight, and the cavalry just doubled. It's like my old mount and blade strategy. Rush the economy, build knights, press F1, F3. Everyone charges. Overwhelming force. No finesse. Just horses. The diet was looking increasingly inevitable. Angelim panicked the moment she saw 2 full squads of rogue knights charging at her in spread formation. 100 armored horsemen picking up speed is not a subtle thing. The ground was literally shaking. She ordered her carrot guards into a shield wall in front of the onion engineers and the ballista. Credit where it's due. Those carrot guards earned their Royal Guard title. For vegetables, they fight as hard as any human heavy infantry. But heavy infantry versus heavy cavalry is a debate as old as warfare itself. And today, the cavalry had an answer. The ballista fired. Whoosh. 2 unlucky rogue knights got skewered, horse and rider, and dissolved into white light. But that barely slowed the charge. The ballista's fatal weakness? Reload time. The onions were scrambling to reload, but there was no time. No time at all. Hundreds of meters closed in seconds. Lances hit shields. Thud. Shield shattered. Carrots went flying. Armored warhorses plowed through the vegetable shield wall like a truck through a salad bar. The carrot guards tried fighting back with their spears, but against Tier 2 cavalry momentum, they dissolved into light by the dozens. The entire carrot unit was annihilated for less than 10 rogue knight casualties. Angelim slapped her own cheeks to stay focused. Smart move. She sacrificed the carrots to buy her onions time to run. Abandoned the ballista too. Doesn't matter, the onions can build another one. As long as the engineers survive, they're basically a walking factory, and those little onion guys can move. Their stubby legs were a blur. I split off 20 knights to chase the onions while the main force finished the carrots. The chase was on. Then Angelim's action points recharged. Upgrade castle. She immediately burned her mana to deploy her Tier 2 unit, the Green Apple Knights. These apple cavalry ride cucumbers with wooden stick legs. It sounds ridiculous, but they're fast. They came galloping in to rescue the onions, and my pursuing knights wisely pulled back rather than fight outnumbered. Angelim got aggressive. She saw my smaller group and thought she could pick them off. Both sides started shooting from horseback, apple knights with walnut wood bows. rogue knights twisting in their saddles to return fire. But here's the thing. Both sides were wearing full plate armor. Arrows just bounced off everything. It was the medieval equivalent of two tanks throwing pebbles at each other. A total stalemate of mutual trash throwing. Then my main cavalry force finished mopping up the carrots and came thundering over. Angelim's apple knights immediately turned tail and ran. Smart apples. No hesitation. Very crispy survival instincts. Good, good. Most of my onions made it. Angelim counted about 50 survivors and immediately put them to work. Clang, clang, clang. Wrenches flying. And a brand new ballista materialized from scrap materials. She had her core back. Apple Knights plus ballista could hold off my cavalry. She was stabilizing. Or so she thought. Then she heard singing. War hymns. In Noxian. My Trifarian rune crossbowmen marched onto the field. 70 elite soldiers with glowing blue rune-enhanced crossbows. The enchantments on their bolts? Explosive and armor-piercing. The first volley hit like artillery. Blue streaks across the sky, then boom, boom, boom. Explosions ripped across Angelim's position. Her apple knights were dodging shrapnel while trying to hold formation against my cavalry and avoid getting carpet-bombed by magic crossbow fire. In desperation, she deployed her biting kale, 5 attack cabbages that roll at enemies and chomp them. They unfurled with a horrifying shriek and barreled toward my crossbowmen. They got turned into coleslaw before they crossed half the distance. 70 rune bolts versus 5 cabbages. Not even close. The apple knights fought bravely, but they were outnumbered, outgunned, and being crossbow bombarded while dodging lance charges. It was over. The victory is decided, I announced. Starting today, control your eating. 1 hour of exercise daily. Angelim hung her head in total defeat. She didn't just lose a battle. She lost her snack privileges. Fine, she mumbled. I needed to do this. Not just for her health. The dark scripture was tracking her. Angelim, corruption paths, gluttony, lust, that gluttony arrow was climbing. If I don't intervene, one day her foodie princess tag is going to say corrupted in front of it. I have no idea what a fully gluttony corrupted 13-year-old looks like, and I do not want to find out. What are you staring at? She puffed her cheeks at me. I shook my head. She didn't need to know her sin meter was filling up. That's grown-up villain problems. When we walked into the simulation room's public lounge, something unusual happened. The other freshmen didn't scatter like usual. They all turned and looked at me. Directly. I froze. Angelim tilted her head. Ayla got nervous and grabbed my sleeve, pulling me in front of her like a human shield, protecting me. The girl who fainted from looking at me was now using me as a bodyguard. Character development. Turns out they just wanted the map 1 strategy. Roland, can you please tell us how to clear Chainorton Plains? The library. Everything you need is there. New tag. Mysterious stranger description. They now believe you're not pure evil, but your personality and behavior remain impossible to read. 2 tags in 1 day. Playboy and mysterious stranger. My tag collection is becoming a dating sim character sheet. Are we still doing map 2 today? Ayla raised her hand. Still early. Why not? Iron Wall Siege Defense. We loaded in, and then Angelim and I both turned to stare at Ayla. Please don't look at me like that. She squeaked, face turning red. Still soft-spoken. Still looked like she'd cry if you raised your voice. Still seemed like the most harmless creature on the airship. Then she pulled out her troop cards and summoned her army. Dwarf butchers. Mad orc butchers. Skull crusher butchers. Dungeon butchers. Row after row of butchers materialized. Massive, armed with cleavers and hooks. Covered in what I sincerely hoped was not blood. Scarred, muscular, terrifying creatures that looked like they'd been recruited from the world's worst slaughterhouse. The girl who faints for my contact. The girl who whispers every sentence. The girl who hides behind me when strangers approach. Her entire army is butchers. Ashwar Marshall suddenly made a lot more sense. And I was significantly more concerned. Bang, bang, bang. Roland, open up. Only one person on this entire flying city has the audacity to pound on my door like she's the police. Angelim. I cracked the door open and immediately blocked her. Out. I'm changing. She blinked, noticed I was toweling my hair, went, oh, and backed off. When I opened the door again, she shot through the gap like a cat who heard a can opener. Shoes. OFF. Ugh, you're fussier about cleanliness than a girl. Roland. She complained, but she complied. Good. I have standards. This is my room, and it will remain civilized. Even though she'd been here before, she was snooping around like it was a museum exhibit. Then she started sniffing me. Roland, what cologne are you wearing? It smells really nice. She leaned in close, took a deep inhale, and confirmed the smell was coming from me specifically. Just incense, I lied. It wasn't incense. It was a side effect of biochar magic running passively. But she doesn't need to know that. Nobody needs to know that. Come here, face forward. She presented her round little face obediently. I placed my hand on it. Drain. Activate. Okay, let me explain. I've been studying the 4 dark spells from the scripture, and I've actually made real progress. Biocharm and hypnosis are both mind-affecting spells, right? So I combined them with my villain lord's natural fear aura and created something I call mass terror. In testing, anyone who fails the willpower check either has their morale shatter completely or starts attacking their own allies. Even against fellow warlords it works. Ayla gets mentally sluggish and makes command errors, and she's built up partial resistance from hanging around me constantly. Against strangers? It'd be devastating. But back to the drain situation. Here's my problem. I told Angelim to diet. I told a foodie princess to eat less. Her exact response was, just let me die. Meanwhile, the dark scripture keeps flashing. Angelim, gluttony. If she keeps binge eating, she might literally undergo demonic corruption. I don't know exactly what a gluttony-corrupted 13-year-old looks like, but I imagine it involves tentacles and an unhealthy relationship with buffets. I need to prevent this. Solution, drain. I carefully siphon off only the excess life energy, the part generated by her overeating. It doesn't hurt her. It actually makes her healthier. Reduces the weight gain. Keeps the gluttony meter from climbing. It's practically medical. And yes, okay, the drained life force feeds directly into me. My physical stats and magic power have been growing noticeably. When I first dueled Angelim, my mana was about 4 units from daily meditation alone. Now, around 6 units. A 50% increase in days. Forbidden magic is called forbidden because it's broken, not because it doesn't work. The biocharm has a passive effect too. It makes me smell pleasant and calming to people nearby. That's why Angelim feels safe enough to literally fall asleep, standing up while I'm draining her. It's the same principle as how vampires make their victims feel pleasure instead of pain. Very efficient. Very ethically questionable. Very effective. Zzz, she passed out on her feet, face still squished in my hand. I caught her, put her on my bed, and went back to studying a book on constructive magic while she napped. Now look, I'm a transmigrator. I spent my previous life on the internet. I know what the comments section would say about this situation. A teenage boy, alone in his room, with a sleeping 13-year-old princess, using forbidden charm magic. I know exactly what kind of character this makes me look like. The internet has shown me things I can never unsee. But here's my defense. First, self-control. I have it. I'm keeping my moral bottom line firmly in place. Second, the charm magic is passive. It just makes me smell nice, not anything else. Third, I'm literally doing this to save her from demonic corruption. Fourth, if I actually did anything bad to a student at an academy run by people who command armies across dimensions, I would die. Very quickly. Very painfully. I enjoy being alive. And fifth, have you seen what the dark scripture spells do? Hypnosis and biocharm are basically pulled straight from the villain's toolkit in a certain genre of Japanese animation. The forbidden genre. The strength is undeniable, but the implications are catastrophic for my reputation. I'm already the playboy with the villain lord tag. I do not need to add. Uses mind control magic on sleeping girls to my resume. Moi. Angelim woke up feeling refreshed. Saw an unfamiliar ceiling. Took a second to process. Where am I? You're a pig. Sleeping this much, I said without looking up from my book. Brain loading. EHHH. Her face went crimson. If my court etiquette tutor found out I fell asleep in a boy's room, she'd lock me in solitary for a month. She whisper-screamed at me like this was classified information. Solitary? Angelim, what bad things have you done? Ayla asked innocently from the corner, having not heard the whispered part. Before the princess could recover, I delivered the killing blow. She weighed herself today. She's gained 10 pounds since boarding the airship. Meltdown. Complete nuclear meltdown. The embarrassment about sleeping in my room was instantly replaced by bodyweight rage. Lesson learned. There is no topic more explosive for a girl than the number on the scale. Then why are you eating afternoon cake right now? I pointed at the pastry in front of her. She sputtered, stammered, then hit me with, what does it matter? You'll help me lose weight anyway, right? Yes. Because I'm literally siphoning your excess calories with vampire magic. You are my renewable energy source. But you don't know that, and I'd like to keep it that way. Ayla watched us bicker with a smile, but I caught something underneath it. Something in her eyes. Envy. Sinned Ayla, corruption paths. Envy, wrath, lust, come on. Not you too. What is she even jealous of? I looked at Angelum, who was currently stealing cookies off my plate with both hands while crumbs fell down her uniform. This is what inspires envy. Ayla, want one? I offered her a matcha cookie. She stood up quietly, leaned forward, and bit the cookie directly from my fingertips. Then she sat back down, nibbling it with her head lowered so I couldn't see her face. I wiped my hand, stared into the middle distance, and asked myself a very important question. Is farming positive tags from these two girls really worth it? Because I came here trying to collect good person labels, and instead I seem to be speedrunning a dating sim while my evil Bible tracks everyone's sin meters like a demonic Fitbit. One girl falls asleep in my room and gains weight. The other one eats cookies from my hand, and her jealousy stat goes up. My dark scripture is practically taking notes. I'm supposed to be the villain here, but I'm starting to think the real villain is this stupid book. Tournament day. After almost a month on this flying city, here's what a bunch of medieval teenagers learned about being warlords. It's fun. We're all addicted. Everyone gathered in the simulation hall. I could see the room split into two camps. The confident few who'd cleared map 1 and had actual armies, and the nervous majority who were still running around with their freebie recruitment squad. 9 people total had beaten Chainorton Plains. Subtract the 5 of us who got the genius bonus, me, Angelum, Ayla, and the noble/carpenter duo, and only 4 others managed to grind out that first map reward on their own. The Academy's philosophy was becoming painfully clear. Get ahead early, stay ahead. Those of us with extra recruitment resources had more soldiers, which meant easier map clears, which meant more coins, which meant more soldiers. It's a snowball system, and the snowball was already rolling. Beckley clapped his hands, and 19 glowing dots floated down to each of us. Mine said, 19. I'm 7. Angelum waved her number. I am 13. Ayla showed hers quietly. Number 1 fights 18. Number 2 fights 17. Beckley explained the bracket. So Angelum fights 12. Ayla fights 6. And me? Number 19 gets a bye. Free pass to round 2. Lucky? Nope. I checked. All 9 people who cleared map 1 were spread across the bracket perfectly. No early matchups between strong players. Beckley rigged the draw. Classic teacher move. Let the strong kids demolish the weak ones first to establish a clear hierarchy. And demolish they did. I pulled up Angelum's match on the public viewer. The second her castle landed, she slapped down 5 troop cards. 4 deployed with mana, 1 with the action point. A tsunami of vegetables poured across the map. Her opponent had 1 troop card. 1. The Onion Engineers didn't even bother building a war beast. They just charged in with the rest of the army and started bludgeoning people with wrenches. When your entire military force gets beaten to death by produce-wielding hand tools, it's time to rethink your life choices. Ayla's match? Let's just say, her opponent saw a horde of massive, scarred butchers sprinting at them with meat cleavers and experienced what I can only describe as rapid career reevaluation. Round of 19 finished in 5 minutes. New brackets. I drew number 10. My opponent, number 1. This poor guy had barely survived a mirror match between 2 single troop card freshmen. A real nail-biter of mediocrity. And now his reward for winning was me. I nodded at him politely. Everyone watching interpreted this as the executioner's final courtesy. I'm writing tragic on your tombstone, someone whispered to him. Thank God I lost, said his previous opponent, practically dancing with relief. My match lasted maybe 90 seconds. Upgrade castle. Deploy rogue knights with mana. 50 armored horsemen went brrrrrr. His tier 1 soldiers spawned just in time to watch the cavalry arrive. He actually laughed. Not a happy laugh. The laugh of a man who has accepted his fate. Very zen of him. I finished in time to watch Angelum versus Pino the carpenter's son. Now this was interesting. Pino was serious. Jaw clenched, eyes burning. I won't go easy on you, princess. Hello? Angelum waved cheerfully, completely unbothered. The public display showed both their mana counters. Angelum, 4, Pino, 3. That 1-point gap was about to be everything. Angelum didn't hesitate. Action point upgrade to Tier 2 Castle. Then she burned all her mana deploying Green Apple Knights and Biting Kale. Full commitment. 0 mana remaining. The ultimate. I learned this from Roland. Strategy, F1, F3. Everyone charges. Pray. And here's the thing, it works at this level. As Beckley's notebook explained, before anyone learns war magic, duels are pure math. Whoever has better troops and more mana wins. War magic changes everything because defensive spells cost less mana than deploying troops. 2 points of mana on a mass terror or a mud transmutation spell can stop a 4 mana all-in push cold. Once that happens, the rusher is out of gas with nothing left. That's why F1, F3 has an expiration date. First year, first semester. After that, everyone learns counterspells and the rush meta dies. But right now, it's king. Pino upgraded his castle too, but with only 3 mana he could afford 1 Tier 2 card and 1 Tier 1. He deployed Forest Elf Archers, his ace, a Tier 2 ranged unit that gets bonuses in forests, and 200 puppet soldiers, these creepy wooden marionettes that attack silently. The problem? He needed a front line to hold off cavalry. Archers aren't front lines. Puppets have numbers, but they're made of wood. The Biting Kale rolled into the puppet formation like bowling balls through toothpicks. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Wooden splinters everywhere. Meanwhile, the Apple Knights on their cucumber horses charged straight into the Forest Elf Archers, who desperately drew daggers and short swords for melee combat. Archers in a knife fight against cavalry. Not ideal. Game over. Angelum locked it down before Pino could even establish a position. My little student learned well. The diet was unfortunate, but her tactical education? Flawless. F1, F3. The strategy, so dumb it's genius. And we're going to ride it all the way to the academy gates. Here's something important about Ayla that I'd learned from watching her spar with Angelum dozens of times. That shy little mouse is a psychopath on the battlefield. See, Angelum usually plays defensive against Ayla, not aggressive. Why? Because Ayla's butchers have a passive ability called Berserker. They trade all defense for pure murder power. The first time Angelum tried rushing Ayla with Apple Knights and Biting Kale, confident she'd steamroll 3 squads of Tier 1 butchers. The butchers, battered, bleeding, half-dead, went into frenzy mode and julienned every single apple and cabbage into thin slices. Angelum cried. Actual tears. Her beautiful Tier 2 cavalry got turned into a fruit salad by a bunch of maniacs with cleavers. Sure, Berserker wears off and leaves the butchers weakened, but Angelum's army was always dead before that happened. The quiet girl who can't make eye contact commands an army of rabid meat processors. This world makes no sense. Ayla's tournament opponent learned this the hard way. The butchers came out of the gates swinging cleavers and axes like it was Black Friday at a slaughterhouse. The poor kid soldiers got chopped to pieces. His castle crumbled. Everyone watching jumped. The quiet girl who follows Roland around. Is terrifying? Yes. Yes, she is. Welcome to my life. Top 5 decided. Points system now. Everyone fights everyone. 2 points per win. Highest total takes first. I looked at Angelum and Ayla. Who wants to go first? I forfeit, they said in perfect unison. 0 hesitation. Not even a microsecond of consideration. They're not masochists. They fought me in practice. They know what happens. Why waste energy getting demolished when they could save it for winnable matches? This left the other 2 finalists staring at each other nervously. One of them stepped forward. Hermann, the border noble who'd actually seen real combat before becoming a warlord. Roland, I challenge you. The crowd went wild. Go, Hermann. Show him what nobles are made of. He flashed a confident grin. I'll win this. He actually had a plan. His trump card was a squad of Tier 2 Legion sniper crossbowmen. 50 soldiers armed with heavy siege crossbows that fire steel bolts powerful enough to kill Tier 2 armored cavalry in one hit. Plant them on a hilltop, lure my knights into the kill zone with lightweight decoy cavalry, and shred them. Solid strategy. One problem. He assumed I only had cavalry. The duel started. I saw his mana counter. 3. Mine. 6. His face when he noticed the difference was priceless. But he rallied. Not panicking. He can't have 3 Tier 2 cards. He was right, technically. I deployed 2 squads of rogue knights, 100 armored horsemen, and stopped. His scouts found his hilltop. His snipers got into position. His decoy light cavalry started probing my lines. Everything was going according to his plan. My knights rode into view of the hilltop. The sniper crossbows opened fire. Thwack, thwack, thwack. A dozen knights dissolved into light. The crossbowmen cranked their winches for reload. Fast, professional, deadly. But what arrived before the second volley wasn't more cavalry. It was fire. Tier 2 war magic, meteor fire rain. Fist-sized fireballs rained down on the hilltop like an artillery barrage. Boom, boom, boom. His precious sniper crossbowmen, his entire strategy, got carpet-bombed into oblivion. Hermann's eyes went wide as dinner plates. His light cavalry couldn't even slow down my knights without the crossbow support. The rogue knights swept through them like wind through leaves. His castle fell. He was still standing there with his mouth open. Why can Roland throw fireballs? Every freshman in the audience had the same question. Nobody else could do this. We were all supposed to be sword-and-soldier cavemen at this stage. War magic, Beckley said casually. You'll learn it after enrollment. But his eyes lingered on me with surprise. He hadn't expected me to actually learn combat spells from his old notebook before we even reached the academy. That notebook was supposed to be light reading, not a complete curriculum speedrun. Angelum and Ayla exchanged a knowing look. This is why they forfeited instantly. While everyone else was playing chess, I was playing chess with a flamethrower. You can't outmaneuver fireballs. The last finalist watched Hermann stumble back looking shell-shocked, gulped, and said, I also forfeit. So technically I only fought one match the entire tournament. But I won all 4 rounds, 3 forfeits, and 1 actual duel, for a perfect 8 points in first place. Nobody complained. Nobody said it was unfair. You don't call a result unfair when the winner can literally rain fire from the sky. New tag. Overwhelming presence description. Your strength makes opponents surrender before fighting. More tag farming. Beautiful. Now the real entertainment. Angelum versus Ayla for second place. Without me in the bracket, this was actually a high-quality match. Angelum had the mana advantage for versus Ayla's 3 and deployed Apple Knights plus Biting Kale. Standard rush. Ayla sent her Berserker Butchers charging in. The Butchers went into frenzy mode, cleavers whirling, eyes red with bloodlust, and then the Onion Engineers built a Tier 3 war beast, Dwarven Fire Ballista Cart, a fire-breathing siege engine. Against berserking melee units, the Butchers charged screaming into a wall of flames and started. Sizzling, cooking, crackling like bacon on a grill. Angelum won. But the sight of humanoid creatures being roasted alive killed her appetite completely. I'm not eating meat today, she said, looking green. First time the foodie princess has ever voluntarily skipped a meal. All it took was watching her Onion Engineers invent a medieval flamethrower and use it on living beings. War is educational. Ayla took 3rd place. She wasn't upset. She'd lost to bad luck, not bad play. If the Onions had built literally anything other than a fire weapon, her Butchers would have carved through it. Final standings. 1st place, me. 2nd, Angelum. 3rd, Ayla. The top 3 are all from the same study group. The villain, the foodie princess, and the shy girl with the murder army. Beckley's decision to dump Angelum on me accidentally created a 3-person super team that swept the entire tournament. Now give me my mystery prize, Professor. This villain lord earned it. Angelum was practically skipping after the tournament, humming a victory tune. Prizes, prizes, prizes. We knocked on Beckley's office door. Inside, the professor was elbow deep in a storage chest, rummaging around. If Sergenth hadn't reminded me, I'd have completely forgotten where I put these things. He pulled out 3 items. Ayla got a crimson gemstone, a special material that dramatically boosts your chances of recruiting high-tier soldiers. Basically a rate-up banner ticket. She bowed so deeply I thought she'd tip over. Thank you, Professor. Angelum got a glowing green seed. Perfect for recruiting high-tier plant soldiers. Custom-made for the vegetable warlord herself. She held it like it was the holy grail of produce. And me? I got a pitch-black dragon scale. From Sergenth herself. A piece of an actual Tier 7 abyssal fire dragon. Let me explain why this is insane. Dragons are top tier in every category. Combat power, rarity, material value, and they can transform into people. The scale alone could attract dragon-related units that most warlords spend their entire careers trying to recruit. Only someone like Beckley, who literally lives with a dragon, would casually hand this to a student. Also, dragon riders ride dragons during the day, and at night the dragon rides the anyway. Moving on. Beckley then reminded us the airship arrives at the academy tomorrow, and there's a practical exam and a written test. Magic meditation and handbook knowledge. Did you memorize everything? I was fine. Ayla nodded confidently. And Angelum? Huh. She hadn't opened the student handbook in nearly a month. She'd been too busy eating snacks, playing with onions, and getting her vegetables killed in simulation battles. Roland, save me. She latched onto my arm like a drowning person grabbing a life raft. Relax, I said calmly. Was I surprised? No. This was as predictable as sunrise. One pen, one lamp, one night, one miracle. But before cramming an entire semester into the princess's cookie-filled brain, I had something more important to do. Recruitment time. Dragon Scale Edition. Now, some might say using Dragon Tier material in the newbie recruitment room, capped at Tier 3, is wasteful. But resources sitting in your pocket aren't resources, they're decorations. And by the time I reach second year and unlock the advanced recruitment rooms, I'll have access to plenty more rare materials. Spend now, profit now. Ayla and Angelum agreed and decided to use their prizes too. I activated the ritual. The dimensional star field was dramatically brighter this time. If red crystal coins were matches, this dragon scale was a FLODLIGHT. Everything was responding. I checked my tags. Villain Lord, Evil Dragon, Playboy, Mysterious Stranger, Overwhelming Presence. Last time, Evil Dragon did nothing with mere crystal coins. But with dragon scale fuel, 3 tags launched themselves into the void. Evil Dragon, Playboy, and Overwhelming Presence. Only Villain Lord and Mysterious Stranger stayed behind. 3 glowing orbs returned. Option 1. From Overwhelming Presence. Tier 2. 5 chromatic black dragon eggs. 5 eggs. Hatches in 1 year. Adult black dragons reach Tier 5. Dragon eggs. But they need a year to hatch. Then I'd have to raise baby dragons to adulthood. That's a long-term investment, and I need results now. Option 2. From Playboy. Tier 3. Red Dragon Bloodline Description. Bathe in dragon blood, and you shall become a dragon. 2 5 chromatic dragon options. These are from D&D, the evil-aligned chromatic dragons. Red dragons are the strongest among them, but chromatic dragons are still the bottom of the dragon family tree. Gold dragons, gem dragons, those are the real deals. Red Dragon Bloodline is like bragging about being the tallest person in a short family. If this were metallic or gem dragon blood, I might hesitate. Pass. Option 3. From Evil Dragon. Tier 3. Dragon Witch Jean Dark. Hero Unit. A non-human entity born from rage and fiction. Hero Skill 1. Mana Charge. Spend magic power to rank up this hero. Cost doubles per tier. Hero Skill 2. Command. Army of the Evil Dragon. Spend 5 mana to summon 100 wyverns. Wyvern tier equals Jean's current tier -2. My brain short-circuited. A hero unit. The student handbook specifically describes these. Individuals whose personal power or skills equal an entire army. Heroes aren't born. They're forged through blood and glory. Sergenth became one after years of fighting alongside Beckley. Hero unit equals game-breaking character. The whale's luxury. The thing that makes other warlords cry in PvP. And this one can scale. I pour mana into her, and she ranks up. At Tier 3, her wyverns would be Tier 1. At Tier 5, they'd be Tier 3. At Tier 7, Tier 5 wyverns. 100 of them. Summoned at will. With just 5 mana. So I've now encountered Mount and Blade, Warhammer, League of Legends, D&D, and now Fate series. My recruitment pool spans every franchise in existence. Sure, why not? Recruit. Option 3. No hesitation. Boom. Fire scattered. A dark silhouette materialized from the flames. An inverted cross. The smell of ash and brimstone. And cold, eerie laughter echoing through the room. I stared. Standing in front of me was a kid. Dragon Witch Jean Dark. Hero unit. Born from rage and fiction. Commander of evil dragon armies. She was like 13. She tried to look menacing, hands on her hips. What's with that face? I want a refund, I said flatly, grabbing her by the scruff of her neck like a stray cat. I recruited a legendary hero unit, the rarest pull possible, and she showed up as a minor. My army now consists of Vikings, medieval thugs, Noxian crossbowmen, an evil Bible, and a child dragon witch. I'm starting a daycare, not a war legion. All three of us walked out of our recruitment rooms at the same time. I was expressionless. Ayla looked confused, and Angelum was actually thinking for once, which was terrifying in its own way. Angelum spotted the tiny black dragon perched on my shoulder first. Ayla, look. A dragon. The little black dragon looked at them, grinned, and transformed into a human child. A smug, giggling child sitting on my shoulder like she owned the place. Meet Dragon, Witch Jean Dark. Hero unit. Legendary warrior born from rage and fiction. Currently in fun-sized format and treating me like a jungle gym. She can turn into a dragon, which makes sense because she's a dragon witch. At least something in this recruitment system follows logic. Ayla's recruitment was interesting. Standing behind her was a group of girls in white dresses with red eyes and rabbit ears. Cute. Adorable. Their stat card? Tier 3, Slaughter Rabbits, 50 units, Monster Soldiers. Do not approach. Do not approach. The description says, do not approach, twice. Ayla, the girl who whispers everything, recruited 50 murder bunnies. Her army is now butchers and killer rabbits. What is wrong with this girl's summoning affinity? Angelum showed us her card proudly. Tier 3, Corn Cannon, deployment requirements not met. War Beast. Fires devastating corn shell bombardments. It needs a squad of Tier 1 corn pitchers to operate, she read. Then her face fell. But I don't have corn pitchers, so she pulled a Tier 3 siege weapon from Plants vs. Zombies and can't even use it. It's like winning a sports car, but not having a driver's license. The universe continues its cosmic trolling of the vegetable warlord. She channeled her frustration into lunch. Aggressively. Little Jean. I'm calling her Little Black Jean from now on. Couldn't reach half the dishes on the table. So she started ordering me around. I want that one. This one's good too. Roland, feed me. She wasn't really commanding. More like aggressively cute about it. Every time I gave her something she liked, her face lit up. More. Then she hit her limit. Tiny body, tiny stomach. Went full food coma, transformed back into a little dragon, flew onto my head, and fell asleep. Just curled up on my skull like a cat on a warm laptop. Ayla watched all this and apparently thought to herself that I'd make a good father someday. Then she thought about something else, turned beet red, and buried her face in her soup bowl. I chose not to investigate what that was about. Some mysteries are better left unsolved. Afternoon. My room. Study session. 3 chapters. Memorize everything I've underlined, I told Angelum, dropping the student handbook in front of her. She looked at the page count, and her soul visibly left her body. Ayla was there too. When Angelum mentioned we'd be studying all night in my room, Ayla had stammered, all night, with her ears turning crimson, then immediately said yes. I handed Ayla a slip of paper with some Chinese characters on it. Ancient Eastern meditation wisdom. Study this for your magic training. She held it like a sacred artifact. From the mysterious East. It must be so valuable. What it actually said was a joke at her expense. But since she couldn't read Chinese characters, she just stared at them with intense concentration, trying to comprehend the Eastern wisdom through meditation. Hey, if it gets her to actually sit still and practice mindfulness, does it matter what the paper says? Results are results. Once both girls were occupied, Angelum grinding through flashcards, Ayla meditating on nonsense. I pulled out Jean's troop card to review her abilities. Little Black Jean protested loudly about being stored in a card. She wanted to sleep in my bed. Protest denied. This child has the energy of a caffeinated squirrel, and I need sleep tonight. Her hero skill breakdown. To upgrade her from Tier 3 to Tier 4 costs 10 mana. Tier 4 to 5, double, 20 mana. Tier 5 to 6, another double, 40 mana. Getting her to Tier 6 from scratch, 70 total mana points. According to Beckley's notebook, the first-year final exam benchmark is 50 mana. That's a lot of mana, but I have a secret weapon. I have Angelum, my walking battery pack, my renewable mana source. Every day she overeats, I drain the excess, my mana grows. She's basically a human charging station that runs on cake. Jean's second skill is the real prize. At Tier 6, Her Wyvern summon would produce tier 4 flying units, 100 of them for just 5 mana. That's basically 2 tier 4 troop cards worth of flying cavalry on demand. Dragon Beast racial stats too, which are naturally higher than humanoids. Hero units are called game-breaking for a reason. She's worth every crystal coin. The room went quiet. I read War History. Angelum crammed. And Ayla? She was sitting in perfect meditation posture, eyes closed, breathing steady, expression serene. She was asleep. I draped a blanket over her and went back to reading. Sometime before dawn, a bump in the airship's flight woke Ayla up. She noticed the blanket. Noticed it smelled like me. Specifically, the calming scent from my passive charm effect. She made a weird happy noise. Then crash. Books hit the floor. In the lamplight, a haggard, soulless little round face rose from the desk like a zombie. GYH, Ayla shrieked. HHH, Zombie Angelum shrieked back. Who's making noise? People are sleeping. Little Black Jean somehow broke out of her troop card, used a dragon roar at full volume, and blasted everyone's eardrums. My ears were ringing. I sat up, looked at the chaos. Ayla clutching her chest, Angelum looking like death, and a tiny dragon burrowing under my blankets pretending she hadn't just shattered the sound barrier. I checked the time. 2 hours until sunrise. Angelum, did you stay up all night? Ayla asked, genuinely impressed. Of course. The princess crammed a bread roll into her mouth and grinned through the carbs. I memorized everything Roland highlighted. I have to admit, when this kid commits to something, she goes all in. She might be a chaotic gremlin, but she's a chaotic gremlin with willpower when properly motivated. The threat of a diet is apparently stronger than any academic incentive. I walked to the observation deck window and looked out. And there it was. St. Halley's Academy for Warlords. It wasn't a campus. It wasn't a castle. It was a world. Countless dimensional fragments. Pieces of different planes of existence. Pieced together into one impossibly beautiful mosaic floating in the void. Each fragment had its own terrain, its own sky, its own colors, all connected like puzzle pieces forming a masterpiece that shouldn't exist but did. A perfect work of art assembled from the shards of infinite realities. 1 month on a flying city. 1 evil Bible. 1 dragon child. 2 problematic girls. 200 rogue knights. 70 Noxian crossbowmen. 50 Vikings. And enough tags to fill a resume. We made it. School starts now. And I'm walking in as first-place tournament champion, wielder of forbidden magic, and owner of a hero unit. My villain lord tag is darker than ever. But honestly, I think I'm starting to enjoy this. St. Halley's Academy is an inverted pyramid. The bottom layer, smallest, safest, most boring, is where first years live. As you advance through grades, higher layers unlock with more space and presumably more ways to die. We newbies get the kiddie pool. Fair enough. It's so pretty. Angelum and Ayla were gawking at the architecture like tourists. I was too, honestly, but my villain lord aura requires me to look unimpressed at all times. The airship docked at what I can only describe as an interdimensional port. Ships of every conceivable design, sailing vessels, crystal barges, things I don't have words for, all parked in neat rows. Apparently, the Academy doubles as a cross-dimensional trading hub. Our airship sailed right past security without stopping. Perks of being the principal's personal Tier 8 were beast, I guess. TSA can't stop you when you are the airport. Beckley had cleaned up for the occasion. Gone was the usual sweater and robe combo. He was wearing a formal professor's uniform with his hair actually styled. Sergeant had groomed him like a show dog. He looked almost respectable. Almost. We filed off the ship. Beckley took 1 step onto Academy ground and muttered, "Escorting freshmen is exhausting. Not physically, just mentally. Understandable. He spent a month babysitting teenagers, one of whom is me. Well, look who's back." A flashy-looking professor with aggressively stylish hair strutted over. Everything about him screamed, "I think I'm cool, and I will make sure you know it. My beautiful day just ended because I saw your face, Eugene," Beckley deadpanned. But he reached out, and they did the shoulder clap bro hug thing. Old friends pretending to hate each other. Classic. "How's your batch of freshmen?" Eugene asked. "Best I've ever had." Beckley said it with zero hesitation. That actually meant something coming from a man who regularly rides a dragon into battle. Eugene raised an eyebrow, but let it go. Then he started gushing about the sorting feast, which is apparently a huge welcome event. Here's how it works. When new students arrive, the Academy throws a massive celebration. Important organizations from across the Ordered Planes send representatives to observe. Because warlords have the unique ability to help soldiers break through their racial limits, partnering with a talented warlord is a big deal for everyone involved. So over time, the welcome ceremony evolved into something like a talent showcase, recruitment fair. Beckley can't attend though. There's a rule about that, and the reason is wild. Apparently, some unnamed warlord in Academy history already had a committed partner, but secretly used the sorting feast to romance over a dozen powerful Order-side fighters to strengthen his army. When his partners found out about each other, they divided him up. Literally, pieces went to different people. His original partner took his head and vanished. Never found. After that incident, the Academy banned anyone who already has a committed partner from attending the feast. Beckley has Sergenth, so he's out. That doesn't bother me, Beckley declared. I have my dragon. I have Sergenth. I'm the happiest man alive. He and Sergenth started getting mushy right there in public, and Eugene's face twitched like he'd bitten a lemon. The feast doesn't apply to first years either. We're too raw. Nobody wants to invest in unpolished rocks. Second years who've proven themselves get the real attention. We could only watch from the sidelines. Beckley led us into a Gothic-style great hall so enormous I couldn't see the far end. The observation galleries were already packed with Order-side delegations. Humans, elves, dwarves, beastfolk, a complete fantasy species buffet. I even spotted succubi with heart-shaped tails sitting in the stands. The war history book did say some succubi are on the Order side. Educational and present. Then the bells rang. The ceremony began. Countless stars descended from the night sky overhead. They swirled, danced, and spun together with soaring music that made the hair on my arms stand up. Then, boom, the stars exploded into fireworks that turned night into day. Welcome to St. Halley's Academy. The starlight condensed in front of every person into a tiny dancing fairy. Beautiful, delicate, graceful. This was the Academy's 35th dean, Aphia, the Star Fairy. She's been running this place for 600 years, and apparently her management style is maximum chill. There's a rumor that the 27th dean, who served during the largest demonic war in history and ran the Academy like a military boot camp, came back, saw what Aphia had done to his school, and absolutely lost it. You'll regret this, Aphia, he'd stormed. I'm the dean now, she'd replied. They haven't spoken since. Icon behavior. Despite the carefree vibes, her ceremony speech was flawless, professional when it counted. Then came the sorting. 4 houses, Death Herald Dragon, representing the highest form of power. Blazing Sun Griffin, meaning order and glory eternal. Holy Unicorn, meaning the wise seek answers within. Ouroboros Serpent, meaning relentless effort leads to the destination. A dragon house, a griffin house, a unicorn house, and a snake house. At an ancient magical academy, with a sorting ceremony, during a grand feast in a Gothic hall. This is just Hogwarts. This is literally Hogwarts with extra dimensions. My villain lord tag is probably about to sort me into the snake house. I can feel it in my bones. The academy is built like an upside-down pyramid. Bottom floor, smallest, most restricted. That's where us first years live. Higher grades get higher floors with more space and freedom. We're basically in the basement of a skyscraper that's been flipped on its head. Metaphor for student life? Probably. It's so pretty. Angelum and Ayla were starstruck. I was too, but I have a reputation to maintain. So I kept my face at factory default, cold and unimpressed. The airship docked at this interdimensional port filled with ships from across reality. Crystal barges, magical galleons, things that looked like floating coral reefs. Our airship bypassed all security because when you are the principal's personal Tier 8 war beast, nobody checks your boarding pass. Beckley had dressed up. Formal professor robes, hair styled by Sergenth. He looked like a completely different human. Then he stepped off the ship and muttered, "Escorting freshmen is exhausting." A month of babysitting us had aged him spiritually. Well, if it isn't our Dragon Lord, second-year flight tactics professor, Lucky Boy Beckley, a flashy professor with attention-seeking hair, swaggered over. Everything about this guy screamed, "I peaked in college and never came down. My beautiful day just ended because I saw your face, Eugene," Beckley said flatly. Then they did the bro hug shoulder pat thing. Best friends who communicate exclusively through insults. Eugene asked about our freshman class. Beckley, best I've ever had. He said it without hesitation and actually meant it. That hit different. Then Eugene mentioned the sorting feast and started getting excited. But then he shot Beckley a smug look. Oh wait, you can't attend. Forgot, here's why. The sorting feast is basically a matchmaking event. Powerful Order side factions send representatives hoping to partner with promising warlords. Since warlords can break soldiers' racial limits, everyone wants a piece of that. Over centuries, the welcome ceremony evolved into this massive talent mixer. But there's a rule. If you already have a committed partner, you're banned from the feast. Why? Because some legendary warlord, whose name has been erased from history, already had a partner but used the feast to secretly romance over a dozen powerful fighters to boost his army. When they all found out, they literally divided him. Like, physically. Different body parts went to different people. His original partner took his head and disappeared. Gone. Forever. Nobody knows where. After that, the Academy said, yeah, new rule. Beckley has Sergenth, so he's permanently excluded. So what? Beckley fired back. I have my dragon. I have Sergenth. I'm the happiest man alive. Then he and Sergenth started being lovey-dovey in public, and Eugene's face looked like he was chewing glass. First years can't participate in the feast either. We're unpolished rocks, not worth investing in. We just get to eat nice food and watch the upperclassmen network with interdimensional VIPs. Which is fine. Free dinner and a show. Now, the sorting. Dean Afia told us to hold our school badges. Mine started vibrating with magical resonance, and then it talked. Angelum went first. The badge, which was apparently the dean herself speaking through it, said she fit Blazing Sun Griffin or Ouroboros Serpent, but would respect her choice. Can I be in the same house as Roland? The badge laughed mysteriously and declared, Angelum, Death Herald Dragon. Then my turn. Roland Barr, right? Let me see which house suits you. Dean Afia? I asked. That's me. So, which house do you want? We can choose. Of course. I always prioritize student wishes. Although in your case, I'd recommend Adurka? That wasn't in the handbook. You know, the Adurka dimensional prison for supervillains. Excuse me? Kidding Roland Barr, Death Herald Dragon. Hilarious. The 600-year-old fairy dean just told me I belong in prison. My villain lord tag has apparently reached the principal's radar. Fantastic start. My badge now had a black dragon coiled around a world tree underneath the Academy's sword and shield emblem. Cool design, I'll admit. Quick breakdown of the 4 houses and their personalities. Dragon House thinks they're the strongest, and everyone else should follow their lead. Griffin House thinks Dragon House is arrogant and that they represent true honor. Unicorn House looks at both of them fighting and goes, these idiots, while insisting that only intellectuals truly represent the Academy. And Serpent House looks at all 3 and says, can you people please just do something productive? It's Hogwarts, but everyone hates each other for slightly different philosophical reasons. I love it. The dean then explained the credit system. Credits are the Academy's universal currency. Food, supplies, recruitment materials, facility access. Everything runs on credits. 2 types. Public credits, shared by your house, based on average exam scores, distributed monthly to every member. And personal credits, individual performance. If Dragon House averages 500 on the entrance exam, every Dragon House student gets 500 public credits per month. Best house at years and wins a bonus prize. Our entrance exam scores would determine our first batch of personal credits. Translation: be smart equals be rich. Be dumb equals be broke. Study hard or starve. The Academy runs on academic capitalism. Course schedule: 4 big classes per day across 5 weekdays. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with breaks. The format was so eerily similar to my previous life that my mouth twitched. Some things are universal across dimensions. School is school is school. During the feast, I spotted Eugene chatting up some Siren Sea witches. Their queen was pushing her daughter on him. My daughter has Tier 6 potential. Master of naval warfare and water magic. If you take her as a partner, you'll also get access to Tier 5 Siren Royal Guards. Eugene paused, then smiled. Your daughter? Ma'am, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I was actually trying to win your approval. The Siren Princess? The Siren Queen. This man just rejected the princess and hit on the MOM. Eugene has the most chaotic energy I've ever witnessed in a professor. Beckley's rival is unhinged. Angeline bounced over during dinner. What house did you get? Dragon House. I showed her my badge. Same. Why? Ayla appeared right behind her. And me too. Dragon House. Her face was pink with happiness. Pino the carpenter's son got Serpent House. Hermon the boarder noble got Griffin House. Everyone seemed satisfied with their placements. After curfew warnings from our badges, rule breakers lose credits, and nobody wanted to cost their house points on day one, we headed to the dorms. Angeline was already planning to visit my room. She and Ayla were on the first floor while I was on the third. But when we arrived at the Dragon House dormitory entrance, there was a scene. 3 people stood at the door. 2 boys, 1 red-haired girl. A pudgy, short boy was sneering at a timid, slightly greasy-haired kid. I always said we're not the same as Wilbur. Parody, stop it. Wilbur is our friend. He just got sorted into Dragon House. The red-haired girl was defending the quiet boy fiercely. He's different from us, pudgy boy. Parody was practically shouting. Dragon House is full of jerks and power-hungry maniacs. We're in Griffin House. That proves we're better. He looked like a pompous little piglet standing on its hind legs. The red-haired girl shot back. Then I'm different from you two. You two are warlord descendants. I'm what you call a mudblood. So don't talk to me about being the same. She grabbed the bullied boy and started leading him into the Dragon House dorm. I paused, took in the scene. Parody was puffing up with self-satisfaction, thinking he'd won the argument. Then he made eye contact with me. Villain Lord Fear Aura. Point blank. The little piglet fell backwards onto his, but like someone had yanked his legs out from under him. Face white, nose sweating. Classic symptoms of, encountered the final boss in the hallway. I checked their tags. Parody. Rat scum, yeah? The system agrees with my assessment. The red-haired girl. Little son. The timid boy she was protecting. Potion Master. Wait. A brave, fiery red-haired girl defending a timid, overlooked boy with hidden potential from a pudgy bully. At the entrance to their school dormitory. On their first night at a magical academy with 4 houses. Am I watching what I think I'm watching? I think I just stumbled into someone else's protagonist storyline. And the villain lord just scared their bully so hard he fell over. My tag system is literally labeling the main characters for me. Little Sunday, Potion Master, Rat Scum. This is a plot, and I can see the character sheets. The question is, am I in their story, or are they in mine? Wow, you really scared Parody. How'd you do that? The red-haired girl bounced right up to me like we were old friends. 0 fear. 0 hesitation. Her, little son, tag was working overtime. Isekai'd? Call me Anna. She didn't even wait for me to respond before introducing the nervous boy next to her. This is Wilbur. He's Dragon House, same as you. I nodded politely and asked, as casually as humanly possible, what the argument had been about. Please let the tag coincidence be just a coincidence. It wasn't. Anna sighed and gave me the backstory. She, Wilbur, Parody, and 2 other guys, William and Blaine, all came from the same dimensional plane. Unlike the rest of us, their world has been producing warlords for almost 1,000 years. Many attended St. Halley's. When they went home as legends, 28 families declared themselves pure blood dynasties. Pure blood, 28 families. Anyone without warlord ancestry. Mud blood. That's what Parody calls Anna. It gets better. The pure blood families split along house lines based on which St. Halley's house their ancestors attended. Griffin House purebloods are the majority and the dominant faction. Dragon House purebloods are a tiny minority who lost a war against the Griffin families. Now they're the punching bags of pureblood society. Wilbur? Dragon House pureblood. The bullied minority. On the airship, he'd been constantly excluded and cold-shouldered by Parody, who's from a Griffin pureblood family. Anna, the non-pureblood, the mudblood, was the only one defending him. I stared at the scene in front of me. Red-haired girl with a heart of gold. Timid boy with hidden talent. Rat-faced bully who talks big but is actually a coward. Pureblood supremacy. House rivalries. I looked at Wilbur's tag again. Potion Master. Please don't grow up to be a greasy-haired man in black robes who's mean to children. Please. Does this academy even have a potions professor position? And Isekai'd with her little son tag? She's almost certainly scripted to be the hero's mother or some kind of destined savior figure. Then the real horror hit me. I slowly looked up at my own tags. Villain Lord. Permanent. Unkillable. Glowing with dark power. Plus, I literally own a dark scripture that teaches forbidden mind control magic and requires me to spread fear to unlock more chapters. I'm the Dark Lord. I'm the Voldemort of this story. The protagonist trio is right there: brave girl, underdog boy, rat traitor, and I just terrorized the rats so hard Well, I'll get to that. I had a brief existential crisis. Sorry, I got carried away complaining about parody. Anna apologized with a bow. Then she hesitated. I don't know your name. Roland. Roland Barr. Roland, I'm really sorry. I think I've accidentally dragged you into trouble. How so? Parody. She practically spat the name. He's going to run to William and Blaine and twist everything. He'll say a Dragon House student attacked him with dark magic. And he'll make up stories about me being friendly with you. Would William and Blaine actually believe that? They're not bad people, Anna said carefully. They're just brave and loyal, but also impulsive, stubborn, and completely incapable of thinking before acting. High emotional intelligence translation. Hot-blooded heroes. Low emotional intelligence translation. They're idiots who punch first and ask questions never. So parody will definitely send them after me. Not probably. Definitely. She was right. Here's what happened on parody's end, which I pieced together later. The little rat ran back to William and Blaine looking like a disaster. Blaine, a lazy-eyed kid with curly black hair, noticed immediately. Hey Parody, did you trip? William, a stocky, spiky-haired energetic type, noticed too, but his first words weren't about Parody. Is Anna okay? She's not hurt, right? You care about that mud-blood more than me? Parody shrieked with theatrical outrage. Then his hand brushed his pants and his world collapsed. See, when my villain Lord Aura hit him at the dormitory entrance. He'd wet himself, in front of everyone, and hadn't noticed until now. All those people giving him weird looks on the walk back? Yeah, they saw. The shame and rage needed an outlet. And Parody's coping mechanism is textbook narcissist. Instead of feeling bad, make someone else the villain. So he spun a tale. The Dragon House student, me, was an evil sorcerer who used dark magic to terrorize him. Anna was the accomplice. Oh, and she was very cozy with this handsome Dragon House villain. Laughing together. Getting along great. That last part was calculated genius. William has a crush on Anna. Telling him she was being friendly with another guy was the nuclear option. Anna wouldn't do that, William protested, but his face was already red. Jealousy is a powerful motivator for teenage boys. Blaine, being the smarter of the two, didn't fully buy it. Let's just ask Anna what happened. Parody wasn't worried. He'd already set the trap. You think a mudblood who's buddy-buddy with Dragon House freaks will tell the truth? Just watch. She'll say it's all my fault. And when Anna did find William and told him exactly what happened, truthfully, it played right into Parody's prediction. She said it was Parody's fault, just like the rat said she would. Except she didn't mention me. Didn't bring up the part where I scared Parody. Didn't explain why he wet his pants. Because from her perspective, she didn't think it was relevant. Which made William suspicious. Blaine casually mentioned, by the way, Parody wet his pants from fear. Anna's eyes went wide. Then she realized what Parody had done. He'd used his own humiliation as ammunition, weaponized getting scared into a sympathy story to turn William against a Dragon House student and drive a wedge between William and Anna. That little rat, Anna fumed. Parody with the rat scum tag, ladies and gentlemen. Manipulative, cowardly, and willing to use his own wet pants as a political tool. The sorting system nailed this one. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my Dragon House dorm room, fully aware that I've been cast as the Dark Lord in someone else's coming-of-age adventure. The red-haired protector. The bullied boy with hidden genius. The traitorous rat. The hot-headed hero who'll come after me based on lies. And me. The villain lord with forbidden magic, a dark scripture, and a fear aura. Just doing my best not to accidentally become the final boss of their story. I am not going to be Voldemort. I refuse. I have standards. My nose is intact, and it's going to stay that way. I woke up to a brand new tag. New tag, cunning villain description. Rumors about you are being deliberately spread. Someone is trying to convince everyone you're despicable. Guess who? The kid whose tag literally says, rat scum. Parody was out there running a full disinformation campaign against me on day one. I haven't even attended a single class yet, and I already have a smear machine working overtime. Whatever. Despite Parody's one-rat propaganda department, I slept like a baby. Best sleep I've had since boarding the airship. Except, nom nom, I looked down at the edge of my bed. Little Black Jean had escaped from her troop cardigan and was curled up sleeping peacefully. And my pajama sleeve? Covered in tiny teeth marks and dragon drool. She'd been using my arm as a chew toy all night. I stuffed her back into the troop card, changed clothes, and got ready. Today was exam day, theory test and practical test, both in the morning. I sent messages to Angelim and Ayla through my school badge. This thing is basically a smartphone, ID card, and room key all in one. No wonder Beckley said it was important. Without it, you can't do anything at this school. Neither girl responded. Shocking. Waking up early is an impossible quest for teenagers. I sent them the exam location and headed to the cafeteria solo. The first-year section of the academy was gorgeous. Misty wooden walkways lined with exotic flowers and floating firefly lanterns. Very ethereal. Very elvish. Makes sense since Dean Afia personally handles all the landscaping. 600 years of fairy gardening, and the place looks like a fantasy postcard. At the cafeteria, I spotted a familiar face. Taria, the hobbit maid from the airship. Turns out the hobbits, properly called halflings or hobbits, run all the food services across the entire academy. Makes sense. Their species literally min-maxed their racial stats into cooking and crafting, dumping everything from combat. Morning, Taria. She looked up from wiping tables, saw me, and her cheerful humming face instantly crumbled into a pitiful expression. She's not scared because I've been mean to her. I haven't. It's a hobbit racial ability, danger sense. They can instinctively feel how dangerous someone is. And to Taria's built-in threat detector, I register as dragon-level hazard. My villain lord aura trips her survival instincts just by existing near her. Fun fact, hobbits don't reach adulthood until age 33. Taria is 21, which in hobbit development makes her basically a kid. So I'm terrorizing a child with my passive aura, adding it to the list of things I can't control. The usual for breakfast, I said as gently as possible. Got it. She scurried to the kitchen looking like a puppy who'd been scolded for something it didn't do. Food arrived fast. Hobbit efficiency is no joke. Then Little Black Jean broke out of her troop cardigan, morphed into baby dragon form on my shoulder, yawned, and asked, "Did you eat yet? I want meat. Big chunks." And daily, she flew over to Taria, puffed up her tiny chest, and declared, "If there's no meat, I'll eat you." Taria wasn't scared at all. She just reached out and started playing with the little dragon. Those two had become friends on the airship. Taria's danger sense apparently rates Jean as harmless small animal, rather than legendary dragon, which born from rage and fiction. Accurate, honestly. Breakfast arrived. Fresh bread, honeyed meat steaks, and a bucket of milk. "Where's my Ailey?" Jean slammed her tiny claw on the table. I looked up, gave her the death stare. She wilted instantly. "Milk is fine." She transformed back to human form and demolished enough food for 4 adults without her stomach showing any change whatsoever. Then she switched back to dragon form, belched, and draped herself across my shoulder to digest. "Roland, is this the school you mentioned?" She surveyed the academy with supreme disinterest. "Doesn't look like much. Why don't we go destroy the world instead?" I flicked a piece of cake into the air. Chomp, she snatched it mid-flight, tail wagging at maximum speed. Very intimidating. Very world destroyer. "Let's talk about you using my sleeve as a chew toy last night." Chew toy? I don't know what you're talking about. Full innocent act. Big fake dragon eyes. "Do it again, and I'm taping your mouth shut before bed. That's kinky." She covered her face with her wings and squirmed. She's a child-sized dragon. Where did she learn that word? I am going to have a talk with whatever dimension she came from about age-appropriate vocabulary. Exam time. Theory test was done by house. 5 minutes before the exam started, Angelim burst through the door with her hair looking like she'd lost a fight with a hurricane. Ayla wasn't much better, gasping, sweating, practically wheezing. My badge buzzed with their messages. "Angelim, made it." "Barely." "Ayla, thank goodness we weren't late." I shook my head and smiled. These two would be dead without my wake-up messages. A very stern-looking professor walked in, clapped once, and the room went silent. He had the energy of a man who has caught every cheater in the history of cheating and enjoyed the punishment phase. Exam questions have been sent to your school badges. If you cheat, your score is 0. Every student who'd even thought about peeking at their neighbor suddenly found the ceiling very interesting. I opened my exam. The questions were all from the student handbook, Warlord Basics, Academy History, Fundamental Concepts. Question 1. When was St. Halley's Academy founded? I didn't even blink. Answer. Year 9527 of the era calendar. 1 month of reading war history books, study sessions on the observation deck, and forcing Angelum to cram until sunrise. This test was a victory lap. Somewhere in the exam hall, I could practically hear Angelum's brain overheating as she tried to recall everything I'd highlighted for her last night. 1 pen, 1 lamp, 1 miracle. Let's see if the miracle holds up. The theory test didn't have a time limit. Finish and leave whenever you want. I wasn't the first to submit. Unlike some show-off who'd sprint to the front waving their paper, I actually checked my answers. 100 questions, all from the student handbook. After a month of reading war histories, study sessions, and cramming sessions with Angelum, this test was a warm bath. Before leaving, I glanced at my 2 students. Angelum's expression was not panicked. Ayla looked calm. Neither was pulling their hair out. The all-night cram miracle might have actually worked. Next, practical exam. I followed the badge directions to the first-year combat testing grounds, a massive open field the size of 4 or 5 soccer stadiums. Standing at the entrance was the proctor, and I had to crane my neck straight up to see her face. She was enormous. Lion-maned golden hair, arms thicker than my waist, feline predator eyes, beast ears, and despite being female, she radiated the kind of energy that makes you feel simultaneously safe and terrified, like standing next to a friendly tank. She noticed me staring, looked down, and grinned. Her canines were literally fangs. Something you need, freshman? Nope. Nothing. Just registering my troop cards, ma'am. Here they are. All of them. She leaned in to inspect, spotted my Tier 3 Trifarian crossbowman and little black jeans hero card, and raised an eyebrow. Exam difficulty 5. Don't pick the wrong one. Difficulty levels? You could bulldoze difficulty 1 with just your cavalry. You think that would test anything? Fair point. Does difficulty 5 give a higher score? No, same total points. She paused. But if you get a perfect score on difficulty 5, you earn the right to create a society as a first year. A society? No idea what that meant, but she wasn't offering more details. Get your perfect score first, then come ask me about societies. Yes, Professor. The practical exam rules were simple. Deploy troops, kill enemies. Sounds easier than a lord duel, right? Wrong. Suppression active. Not all planes allow warlords to freely deploy soldiers. I pulled out a rogue knight troop card. Nothing happened. Some invisible force was pressing down on the deployment, blocking it completely. The only way to push through was raw magical power. I had to force the card open with my own mana. This is what the exam was really testing. Not just, do you have good soldiers? But, how much mana did you actually train? Because in a suppressed environment, your personal magic reserves are your deployment budget. Limited mana means limited troops means you'd better make every card count. I spent my 6 mana carefully. 2 squads of rogue knights, 2 mana each, and the Trifarian rune crossbowmen, 2 mana, but tier 3 quality. 100 cavalry up front, 70 elite crossbowmen in the back. The enemy spawned on the horizon. 200 abyssal units, 100 tier 1 grunts, 50 tier 2 cavalry, and 50 tier 3 heavy infantry. On difficulty 5, this was no joke. My strategy was straightforward. The rogue knight's only job was to be a living wall for the Trifarian crossbowmen. As long as those Noxian soldiers had a safe firing position, they'd do the rest. First volley. 70 rune-enhanced bolts arced across the sky, trailing blue light. Boom, boom, boom. Fire and frost runes detonated across the abyssal formation. An entire chunk of their line just vanished. The explosive and armor-piercing enchantments turned clustered enemies into confetti. The abyss hit back. Tier 1 withered shooters launched their disgusting bone-arm projectiles at my cavalry. Clang, clang, clang. Most bounced off shields and horse armor. A few rogue knights fell, but the line held. Some knights in the rear started shooting arrows at the abyssal front line, not for damage, but to pull aggro on the tier 3 heavy infantry and kite them around the field like dogs chasing a mailman. Beautiful distraction work. The Tier 2 Abyssal Cavalry tried to flank around and hit my crossbowmen directly. My rogue knights intercepted. 50 armored horsemen crashed into 50 demon riders in a head-on joust. Lances versus demon claws. Maces versus corrupted axes. A brutal melee. But before either cavalry could finish their duel, the Trifarian crossbowmen had already decided the entire battle. Volley after volley of exploding rune bolts systematically deleted everything on the field. Huh. Didn't expect us to have backup, did you? My surviving rogue knights, about 15 of them, roared with laughter at the disintegrating abyssal forces. Practical exam score, 300. Is this a perfect score? I asked the beastier professor. She looked at the number and squeezed out a smile. Not bad. Then she patted my shoulder. My expression contorted. My knees buckled slightly. That, pat, felt like being hit by a truck with a friendly paint job. This woman doesn't know her own strength. Or she does, and she enjoys watching freshmen suffer. Roland Barr, Dragon House first year. She nodded with satisfaction. Unless something changes, I'll be your combat tactics professor for the next 6 years. Name's Lionson Daiwan. Professor Daiwan. I said it with maximum respect because this woman could definitely snap me in half. Then she circled back to the real prize. Remember what I said? About societies? Yes, I can create one as a first year. Right. Honestly, I didn't think any freshman would ace difficulty 5. She clapped her hands. A society is basically a student organization. But at St. Halley's, club doesn't mean chess team and bake sales. At this academy, a society is a war band. Because societies get the right to explore plane fragments, the countless dimensional shards that make up the academy itself. Inside those fragments you can find ancient relics, surviving races, dead civilizations, rare recruitment materials, and things that want to eat you. Dangerous? Very. Profitable? Extremely. Most of the rare materials circulating among students come from fragment expeditions. One lucky run could earn enough credits to fund an entire semester. Normally, only second years and above can join or create societies. But my perfect score on difficulty 5 just unlocked early access. First year society founder. VIP pass to treasure hunting. There's a catch though. I caught the smirk behind Professor Deoni's congratulations. Before you can actually enter a plane fragment, you have to prove you won't immediately die in there. The academy sends a second year to evaluate you. How do they evaluate you? Lord Duel. Beat a sophomore to prove you're ready for real danger. A second-year student who's had an entire extra year of training, recruitment, and war magic study. My villain lord tag is practically purring with excitement. A challenge? Against someone stronger? With the reward being my own personal expedition team and access to dimensional treasure hunting? Sign me up. This villain is going corporate. Roland Barr's warband is about to be open for business. The academy doesn't waste time. Exams finished, results delivered, credits deposited, all before lunch. 500 credits received, 500. That's the maximum possible score converted directly into personal credits. Full marks on both theory and practice. I am the system's favorite student, and I haven't even attended a single real class yet. Angela messaged me immediately. Angelim, Roland, how many credits did you get? Angelim, look, I got 482. Ayla got 5 more than me. She was so proud, practically radiating smug energy through text. The all-night cram session had paid off. 482 was genuinely impressive for someone who hadn't opened the handbook in a month until 12 hours before the exam. I sent her my screenshot. 500. Angelim. Angelim, you got perfect? Yes. Yes, I did. Now please stop making me flex on children. It feels wrong. Angelim, we're on Restal Street. Wanna come? Tea party with some Dragon House girls. I politely declined. A girls' tea party is not a place for the villain lord. I'd show up, and everyone would faint or stop talking or both. My aura is a party killer in the most literal sense. I checked the house standings out of curiosity. Dragon House, 375 public credits. Griffin House, 369. Unicorn House, 380. Serpent House, 367. All pretty close. The public credits would be distributed monthly to every member of that house, so being in a higher-scoring house was basically a passive income boost. Unicorn House nerds were winning, naturally. I headed to Restal Street on my own to explore. This place was the Academy's entertainment and shopping district, and it was packed. New students everywhere, bonding over shared trauma and freshly deposited credits. The smart ones were making friends. The less smart ones were making purchases. The signs were something. Dragon and Dwarf Magical Theater, Sam's Amusement Park, team discounts today, new War Chess Edition. Buy now for a chance at limited edition pieces. This wasn't a school district. This was a theme park designed to vacuum credits out of students' wallets on day one. Black Friday at Hogwarts. I could practically smell the predatory marketing. The theater had the longest line. Its banner showed a red-haired princess trapped in a dragon's claws with the tagline, "Experience the epic adventure. Slay the dragon. Save the princess. Defeat the Dark Lord. Become king." Only 40 credits per ticket. 40 credits to live-action roleplay a fantasy rescue mission. The line was almost entirely boys. Shocking. As I walked past, I heard a very familiar voice. "William, let's go again." Parody was bouncing with excitement. "We've already gone 3 times," Blaine said hesitantly. 3 isn't enough. The story changes every run. And we haven't gotten the best ending yet. Parody leaned in conspiratorially. "I heard the best reward is a kiss from the princess." The theater poster's red-haired princess suddenly felt very intentional. William's face turned the color of a tomato. "I don't care about any princess. I just want to try the night class for the story. That's all." William was lying to Blaine. He was lying to himself. He was lying to God. This boy has spent 120 credits in one afternoon trying to rescue a fictional redhead because it reminds him of a real redhead, and everyone knows it except him. Parody and Blaine argued about who got to play the king. I didn't stick around to see who won. I had actual business. I was looking for the flea market, the student trading post for recruitment materials. Compared to the carnival atmosphere outside, the flea market street was a ghost town. Makes sense. First years barely know what recruitment materials are, and the occasional second year only comes down here hoping to find underpriced treasures among the junk. "Welcome to the Curiosities Trading Shop." A second-year girl behind the counter stared at me like I was a cryptid. She clearly wasn't expecting customers today. "Hello, senpai." Something about my polite greeting and apparently cute appearance made her smile warm up several degrees. Being baby-faced has tactical advantages. "Little freshman, do you even know what we sell here?" She was leaning on the counter, chin in hand, genuinely amused. "Recruitment materials." Her eyebrows went up. "Okay, so this kid wasn't lost." She snapped her fingers, and the display cases opened, revealing rows of materials with detailed tags, recruitment preferences, high-probability species outcomes, success rates. The prices, though. Everything started at 3 digits. Earth Dragon Fong, 350 credits. 27% chance of recruiting Tier 2 subdragon species called ground runners. In gacha terms, that's going from a 90-pull pity system where you can still lose the 50/50ths to a 4-pull with a 1 in 4 shot at the banner character. That's actually incredible odds by recruitment standards. Anything with a chance of producing Tier 3 soldiers? 4-digit credits. Minimum. Being a warlord is basically being a whale in a gacha game, except the gacha is your job, and going free-to-play means you die in combat. But I wasn't here for the premium stuff. "Senpai, I'd like to see the random recruitment materials." "Random?" "This way." She opened a storage room door and gestured inside. 5 credits each. "Pick whatever you want. Come pay when you're done." I looked at the room. It was a junkyard. Broken axes, rusted sword hilts, torn armor fragments, moldy leather scraps. If I couldn't sense the faint traces of magical energy running through these objects, I'd think I'd walked into a garbage dump. "How do you pick treasure from trash?" "You bring a dragon." I yanked little black Jean out of her troop card. Dragons have the greed, racial talent. They can sense valuable objects. It's why every dragon in every story sleeps on a pile of gold. They're literally built to find shiny things. Achoo. ACHO. The baby dragon materialized and immediately started sneezing. "What is this dump?" "It smells like mold." She looked around the room with pure disgust. Tiny wings flared in outrage. "Welcome to bargain shopping, my little dragon witch. Your job is to sniff out diamonds in the dumpster. Your treasure-hunting racial instincts are about to save me hundreds of credits. Being a villain lord on a budget requires creativity. And a dragon with a good nose.